I'm Gary Franchi, and welcome back to the Raw Feed. Breaking news out of Washington. That's right, we've got 5 explosive stories rocking the nation today, and we're going live to bring you every detail. But first, speaking of staying connected, download the Next News Network app right now. Get breaking news alerts, exclusive content, 24/7. Connect with others. You can get the Android users, grab it in the Google Play Store. iPhone users, hit up the App Store. Links in the description. Never miss a story that matters. We're streaming live on YouTube to millions worldwide. Plus, we're on Rumble and X and Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. That's right, yeah. So make sure you're following us on all platforms. But what sets us apart? Well, we interact with the viewers, you, in the live chat, getting your reactions to the day's news. So share the stream via text message to bypass the algorithm. Confirm you've done so by pressing 1 in the chat room. Ex-viewers repost the show to your followers. If you're watching on Facebook, tap share and send it on to your friends and family. Together, we will break through the censorship. Now, if you want to support independent journalism privately, hit those donation links in the description. Check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and show off your favorite news source with style. You can also join our YouTube channel memberships. Each level has its own perks. Get special acknowledgement in the chat room, unlock exclusive access to the team, behind-the-scenes uploads, and our members-only 24/7 Discord. We're going to be reading your Super Chats and Rumble Rants between segments, featuring them on screen for everyone in the world to see, even if you send them in right now, before the show begins. Now, what are we covering today? Well, on this day in history, October 8th, 1871, the Great Chicago Fire began a disaster that would reshape the entire city's future. Today, 150 years later, Chicago faces another kind of inferno. Not of flames, but of lawlessness. And just like back then, the question is whether leadership will rise to the occasion and meet the crisis or watch everything burn. President Trump just demanded Chicago's mayor and Illinois governor be jailed for harboring criminals. Federal prosecutors are eyeing 4 separate felony statutes that can mean 20 years behind bars. We've got exclusive reaction from Illinois insider Mark Vargas on why Chicago businesses are fleeing and ICE officers are under assault. Nancy Pelosi, well, she melted down on CNN trying to defend the Democrats' shutdown when confronted with facts. Republicans voting yes to reopen government while Democrats vote no. She couldn't even explain why. And yes, TSA agents are working without pay, veterans are getting squeezed, and Chuck Schumer blocking every attempt to end the chaos. The White House just hosted a historic roundtable where Trump declared all-out war on Antifa. We'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Andy knows testimony about his near-fatal beating, bleeding from his eyes and ears. FBI Director Kash Patel promising vengeance against every Antifa donor. George Soros. Independent journalists who've covered this violence for years finally got recognition from the highest office, and it's well-deserved. James Comey, of course, slithering into court today through a side entrance. No perp walk like they did to our friend Roger Stone. No mugshot. And keeping his phone and hard drives. He pleaded not guilty to lying to Congress while the two-tier justice system protected him. Compare that to how they treated Trump allies, and you'll see why conservatives are furious. And also breaking, Operation Arctic Frost is exposed. The FBI secretly spied on 8 Republican senators, then hid the documents to evade oversight. We're talking surveillance of elected officials, buried evidence, and constitutional violations that should terrify every American. Now, where are we going from here? 5 massive stories, one common thread: the deep state apparatus versus the American people. From Chicago streets to Capitol Hill shutdown, from Antifa violence to FBI spying, the battle lines are drawn. This is your Raw Feed, and we're about to expose it all. Let's welcome you to the show. Who we got here? Chino Jr., Pothead Kenny, Roxanne Reyes, R. Boyd, Mrs. Pothead Kenny, Warthog Survival, Heather Reeve, Johnny Rodriguez, Slick Guns, Who else is in the house? I think we had a super chat too. Jared McDaniel, Alice Searcy, Kibbs Ellis, Robert Elam, John Ozolinks. I don't know, man. I'm sorry, dude. I'm not really good at names. Tyson Curie dropping a $5 super chat right out the gate. You know our goal is tonight $100. Can we hit it? I think we can. We did it yesterday and more. We got Ruby Hoove, who has just given a membership to Sasquatch Hunter TV. Sasquatch Hunter TV. I love it. I love Sasquatch hunting, even though I've never done it. So who else is in the house tonight? Let's see. This is your moment to shine, folks. Toasted Webbs, James Sari, Boom Horror, Heather Reeve, Karen Finley, Bill's Rules, Stephen Wolf, Sarah Rhodes, Deborah Blue, Brian Courtney, and let's see, Karen Myron, Deb Noble. Come on, guys, sound off. Where are you watching from? What kind of device? Let us know. Let the world know how big the Next News Army is. Barkley. The one and only Rhonda Don. Tara Eggers. Andrea Nardizzi. Greetings. Jared McDaniel, Hippicker Gamer Vlogs, Truthy Ruthie, Dr. David Bonari the second, Bonar the third. What's up, last man? Oh, another super chat I think just came through. What's up, Flying Eagle dropping the cash? What's up? Here's a few bucks for you, Gary. Thank you, sir. Put that in the beer money jar for the night. Okay, let's see where we're going. We got a lot of news. We're going to cover it all. Wild stuff happening in Chicago, though. Holy cow, man. Holy cow. Let me pull up that interview. Where is it? Where is the interview? There's the clip. Oh, there it is. Aha, yes. Okay. Brian, let's roll. The gloves are off in Chicago. President Trump just lit the fuse on Truth Social, demanding jail time for Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker. This is not political theater. Federal prosecutors are circling with 4 felony statutes that carry up to 20 years. We've got exclusive reaction from Mark Vargas of the Illinois Review. He's joining us to expose the constitutional crisis erupting in real time. ICE officers assaulted, businesses fleeing, and city leaders openly defying federal law. The charges on the table? Harboring criminals, obstructing justice, interfering with federal officers. When local officials declare war on federal government, who wins? Well, the answer might determine whether we still have one country or 50 fiefdoms. Stay locked in, folks. But did you know gold has gone mainstream? You're seeing it everywhere. Prices keep climbing. Every day, more and more Americans are watching and catching on to the power of gold. But how do you actually take advantage of it? How do you invest in a way that's safe, simple, and built for the long run? That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. Noble Gold specialists are trained to help investors just like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. Whether you're looking to roll over an old 401k into gold IRA or you want physical coins and bars delivered directly to your home, Noble Gold makes the process simple, safe, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and U.S.-based service from a team that's handled over $2.5 billion in precious metals transactions. With Noble Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it is their commitment. Visit nextnewsgold.com and claim your free wealth protection kit and see if you qualify for that silver bonus. That's nextnewsgold.com. Noble Gold is going to help you build a stronger future, or you can call that number 877-646-5347. They are standing by, waiting for your call. So just earlier today, I sat down with Mark Vargas of the Illinois Review. He says that Pritzker and Johnson could face up to 20 years in prison under 4 federal statutes obstructing ICE, and Trump may invoke the Insurrection Act to restore order. Chicago is collapsing. Walgreens is fleeing. The National Guard blocked. The evidence is overwhelming. We have the full interview with Mark Vargas because I asked Mark Vargas from Illinois. Review returns as his state faces a constitutional crisis. Democrat leaders are rejecting National Guard help while Donald Trump is threatening arrests. The clips we're about to show you prove Illinois is ground zero for the battle between federal law and sanctuary insanity. Mark, who's a political insider, he's covered Illinois politics for decades. He is back. Mark, welcome back to the show. Let's start with Donald Trump's Truth Social post. This is big stuff right here. Right here, Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. J.B. Pritzker says, "I will not back down," in response to President Trump. What's going on here? As someone who's covered Illinois politics, how serious is this threat?
Well, Gary, this is very serious. And if federal prosecutors were to pursue charges, there are 4 statutes in particular that could land both Pritzker and Johnson between 5 and 20 years in federal prison. Let me outline those 4 statutes for you very briefly. Number 1, 8 U.S. Code 1324, harboring or shielding illegal aliens.
Oh, my God.
8 U.S. Code 1373, restricting information sharing. 18 U.S. Code 1505, obstruction of federal proceedings. And finally, 18 U.S. Code 111, interfering with federal officers. These 4 statutes present, as many legal scholars have indicated, present a real serious problem for Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson, whose policies, whose executive orders and legislation that have been signed and enacted into law prohibiting local law enforcement from assisting federal agents, federal ICE officers, could land them in real hot water legally. Just think about it, Gary. If you or I were to do any of these things as private citizens, we'd be locked up and in jail immediately. But this is real serious consequences for both Pritzker and Johnson for the very first time, and puts them in legal jeopardy.
This is this is shocking. I'm hoping that there are federal prosecutors who are willing to take this case because obviously there's this lawlessness happening. He's talking about creating ICE-free zones. He's sending executive orders. Chicago police are told to stand down while ICE officers are literally assaulted. Their lives are in danger. And now Mayor Brandon Johnson just responded to Trump's arrest threat. Let's watch his reaction.
Well, first of all, this president is unstable, unhinged, a double-minded individual that, quite frankly, is a threat to our democracy. And it's certainly not the first time that Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a black man unjustly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm as the mayor of this amazing city, which was voted 9 years in a row the best big city in America, and we're going to defend all of Chicago.
We are going to defend Chicago, and we're going to play the race card at the same time. What does this tell you about how panicked Chicago Democrats are, Mark?
Well, no matter how much political spin both Johnson and Pritzker try and put to it, the issue, the numbers speak for themselves. Gary, I looked up what individual he's talking about, a black man ordering the arrest. I can't identify, nor can anyone else, specifically who Mayor Johnson is talking about. But the streets of Chicago are a war zone. It was just announced today that Walgreens is moving their location from downtown Chicago, 200,000 square feet at the old post office that once had 1,800 employees. They're now closing that down and moving to their location in the suburbs. Their lease is up in 2032, but they're deciding, let's leave right now. That's proof that the city is in chaos. The failed leadership is leaving to a war zone. People don't feel safe, and employers, more importantly, don't feel safe, don't feel like the city is safe enough to even allow their employees to go to work downtown.
How many people go to work in that building? I mean, that would create a huge void in Chicago.
It's massive, and he just leads a number of companies, Citadel, Caterpillar, all that have moved out of Illinois, out of downtown Chicago because of the crime. A third of office space in downtown Chicago is vacant. Again, the numbers speak for themselves. Chicago is a total war zone, and despite the political spin coming from both Pritzker and Johnson, the reality is that the city is dangerous. Nobody feels safe, which is why both ICE agents and the National Guard have been welcomed with open arms with everyday hardworking residents.
Well, we saw just a few weeks ago on the Magnificent Mile, we saw a Rolex store, Louis Vuitton store. All these stores are getting robbed in broad daylight. The crime is just brazen out in the open. We have this from the FBI Director Kash Patel slamming Democrats in Illinois who've spoken out against the National Guard troops. Let's check in and see, and I want to get your reaction.
That they're the one. It's the height of hypocrisy to see elected leadership here, the mayor and the governor, when they were screaming for the National Guard on January 6th, and now all of a sudden reject it when their city is literally under siege. And so I think the American people are seeing that they're the ones politicizing law enforcement, and by attacking the deployment of the National Guard, you're attacking the men and women who not only do a daytime job, but then suit up in uniform at night, get shipped out from wherever their homes are to come in here and set up perimeters and make sure people see them and they are like, wow, this is safe again. This is what we did in Washington, D.C. with the Department of Justice and DOW, and it worked.
Now, Mark, why would elected officials refuse federal assistance during a crisis like this?
It's mind-boggling. Gary, I've got the idea that I believe that the residents in the south and west sides of Chicago ought to change their name to Major Democratic Donors, because that then will trigger Governor Pritzker to deploy the National Guard. Because, again, he deployed the National Guard during the Democratic National Convention, and that was the right thing to do. But he refuses to deploy the National Guard to protect everyday residents who don't have the bank accounts that look like his wealthy billionaire Democratic donor friends. But it's true. It's mind-boggling that they want to continue to dig their heels in and say that there isn't a crime issue in Chicago when everybody on the streets, everybody in communities and neighborhoods and in downtown, they know that's not the case. Think about this. The Magnificent Mile, one of the most beautiful pieces of property, stretches of road in the country, similar to Fifth Avenue in New York City or Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. They've got massive vacancies. And the president of that association, the Magnificent Mile Association, has written letters literally begging for the city to beef up their police patrols because the high-end shoppers and tourists no longer feel safe on one of the most beautiful streets in the country.
Now, Mark, you're a high-profile individual. You've worked directly with the president in securing commutations for the former governor of Illinois, Rod Blagojevich, and then his eventual pardon, and then, of course, Roger Stone. So, I mean, you're on Newsmax, you're on Illinois Review. You're not somebody who hides in the shadows, but sometimes you work in the shadows when you get things done. It's always amazing to hear the stories. But I have to ask you this. You live in Chicago. Someone like yourself, you have to go out on the street. I mean, what's it like there when you're on the ground?
Talk to any Uber driver, Lyft driver, or taxi driver, and they'll all tell you the same thing. Either they've been held at gunpoint or they know somebody's been held at gunpoint, a fellow driver. They've also been involved and have driven by where there have been drive-by shootings. Virtually every person that lives in downtown Chicago has very similar stories. Near where I live, there have been 4 mass shootings. You hear gunshots in the middle of the night, usually between the hours of 1 and 3:30 in the morning. This is no secret for the mainstream media who like to just fly in and stay for a couple of days and give fake interviews that feed their false narratives. Live there for a month or a year, and you'll be able to see the same reality that both Uber and Lyft drivers have, taxi drivers, as well as everyday residents who have to live and experience this every single day.
It sounds like they're living in absolute terror. At least President Trump has a plan. Brandon Johnson, of course, is rejecting it. Pritzker is rejecting it. Now, of course, the call for their arrest is on the table. You just laid out the statutes. Now, you served as a civilian advisor in Iraq. What is your reaction to Chicago, the mayor there, prioritizing illegal immigrants over ICE officers who are trying to do their job?
Again, it's inconceivable that a political official, public official, whose first job of any person in office, whether Republican or Democrat or even independent, is to protect the people. And so it's mind-boggling that you'd have a governor and a mayor who side with violent criminals over law-abiding citizens, who refuse to acknowledge and address reality, and instead they use political spin in order to boost their own profiles and resort to name calling. Listen, if Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson don't want to secure the city of Chicago and the war zone that it is, and I've been to war zones. I was in Iraq 14 times as a civilian. I know what it looks like, know what it smells like. I know what a war zone sounds like. Chicago is a war zone. And if they refuse to protect the people, then President Donald J. Trump will, and he is.
Now, as editor of the Illinois Review, you've watched the state deteriorate under Democrat control. It seems like they have a stranglehold on the state. But is this the breaking point where federal intervention becomes necessary and the people recognize it and change the state's control structure?
Absolutely. And Gary, I've got my finger in the pulse in some of these communities in the south and west sides of Chicago. I've spoken to several Democratic political operatives who are right now out getting petition signatures to get their candidates on the ballot. They're all coming back to me with the exact same observation. And what is that? That the everyday residents in the south and west side of Chicago, particularly black and brown residents, they refuse to sign the petitions of Democratic candidates. Why? Because they know the reality. They know the difference between political spin and reality. And so I believe we're seeing a turning point in America. This is a realignment of politics spearheaded by President Donald J. Trump. When you have federal ICE agents, when you have the National Guard from Texas out on the streets in Chicago, the residents, the visitors, the tourists, the moms and dads, the children, they automatically feel safer. And so as a result of that, the Democrats' numbers are plunging. And I believe that Chicago is a city that could potentially flip red.
Now, Mark, you're a political insider, and of course, we're in the middle of a shutdown. The Democrats are playing games. Before we go, I do want to get your reaction to Nancy Pelosi. She was just embarrassed on CNN. Let's listen.
Democrats, I understand what you're saying about where the differences are, and they are very big. They are voting yes on what we say here in Washington, a clean CR, a bill to keep the government running for 7 weeks, and Democrats are voting no, and for the reasons you just said. So how are they shutting down the government?
First of all, it isn't a clean CR.
Okay.
So let's not stipulate to that. It's not a clean CR.
What do they have in
it's
it?
going into that. The point is,
I
understand what you're
CR. At the same time, we have air traffic controllers who are not showing up to work. Our airports, our skies above us are a big question. What is your take on Pelosi here claiming it's not a clean CR in this latest Democrat disaster?
First of all, anyone whose net worth, like Nancy Pelosi's, has increased by over $200 million since 2008. It's estimated now that she has a $300 million net worth when her salary maintains the same at about $200,000 a year. First of all, you lose all credibility when your personal net worth increases by that much off of the backs of everyday people. Secondly, Democrats do not want a clean funding bill, even though they've done this in the past. Why? Because as it's been revealed on your show here, Gary, on Next News Network, that Chuck Schumer, the Senate Democrat leader, has been negotiating and working with George Soros funded groups for the last several months. It doesn't matter what the Republicans put together in terms of a negotiation. The Democrats aren't just going to sit by and participate and cooperate. Why? Because their strings are being pulled and controlled by George Soros and all of his billions of dollars that these Democrat politicians like Nancy Pelosi rely on for their reelection efforts year after year after year. So this isn't about reopening the government. This is about putting as much hurt as they can on everyday hardworking Americans, on our first responders, and on our military so that they could prove a point that George Soros first, America last.
It's disgraceful, Mark, and we're tracking it closely here. We've seen government shutdowns in the past, but and we've always emerged from them. But there's always been pain. How much pain do they intend to inflict? How much longer can this go?
That's a great question, Gary. And, the Democrats have inflicted so much pain over the last 4 years under the Biden administration. Pain to the checkbook, pain to our southern border, pain to major cities, to the residents and tourists of major cities that are Democrat controlled because of high crime and violence and migrants. This isn't a Democrat Party that's focused on the American worker. This is a Democrat Party that's focused on illegal aliens, many of them violent and dangerous and vicious criminals who belong in jail, not getting free health care, not getting free room and board, not getting free food, not getting free clothing. Again, the government, the Democrat Party has shut down the federal government so that our military doesn't get paid, our first responders don't get paid, critical services for grandma and grandpa, they don't get the services they need. Why? Because they've prioritized illegal aliens over everyday Americans. They want illegals to have health care along with everybody else. Again, this is illegals first, America last. We're watching this play out on live television every single day.
Now, another point, we're seeing how this Democrat shutdown is affecting people all across the country. With respect to the air traffic controllers and others, I mean, we just found out that the White House said that the WIC program is going to proceed. Quite literally, how long? I mean, how long can we last, Mark? That's the question.
That's a very good question. I believe that just earlier today that they've reported that O'Hare Airport is going to face significant delays because of the government shutdown, one of the busiest airports in the world. Again, who knows how long this is going to last? I know that the president and the speaker and the Senate majority leader are anxiously trying to negotiate and bring a resolution to this government shutdown. But let's be clear, the Democrats have no interest whatsoever to negotiate. They have no interest in wanting to reopen the government. They'll be forced to, Gary. The Democrats will be forced to come to the negotiating table and to work with the president and the Republicans when they see that their poll numbers have tanked even further. They're proving yet again why over 65% of Americans are fed up with today's Democratic Party.
Okay, let's flash back to the 80s. Ronald Reagan, he was dealing with something similar with air traffic controllers. They walked off the job. He said, fine, you can walk off the job. Now you're fired, and they were banned from ever holding a federal position again. President Trump, he is actually, in a sense, he's threatening the very same thing. They're going to furlough all these government employees, and they're basically going to drain the fat from this government. I mean, it sounds like this whole thing is going to backfire on the whole establishment draining the swamp itself. What are your thoughts?
No, you're absolutely right. And President Trump has showed an example of he's always playing 3D chess while everybody else are playing checkers. Point number one, he's wanting to deploy the National Guard into Democratic-controlled cities where crime is so high. The Democratic leaders say no, like in Chicago. So what does he do? He deploys ICE. He knows that ICE is going to be assaulted, so then he deploys the National Guard in order to protect ICE agents. So at the end of the day, the National Guard are already in Chicago. As it relates to your question specifically, President is using this government shutdown to focus on cutting the unnecessary fat in our federal workforce, cutting the unnecessary fat in federal programs. And the question is, if an employee is not deemed essential to show up to work during the government shutdown, then why are we paying them 65 days a year, giving them a pension and the best health care that could be afforded to any American in the United States? This is a perfect example to start trimming the fat. And that's exactly what President Trump is going to do. And you could guarantee that these programs, these port projects that the Democrats have wanted to fund and have funded for so long, they're going away now thanks to this government shutdown and thanks to President Trump's leadership.
Okay, one last question. I know you've got to go, but I have to ask you this because you hear all the things that are going on in the White House. Your ears are always open. You're talking to a lot of people there. Last couple days, in the last 48 hours, we've heard President Trump invoke the Insurrection Act from the Oval Office. What are you hearing with respect to the application of that law?
Well, President Trump, just as you know, he doesn't drop things by accident. Everything is deliberate. And there's no question in my mind that he's using the word insurrection on purpose. Because these Democrat leaders, as we're seeing play out in real time in Illinois, for example, and in Chicago, despite the realities, they refuse to send in to call for help and secure the streets and make them safer again. But so by using insurrection, it gives President Trump the authority, should he use it. And this hasn't been used since 1992, by the way.
Yeah.
President George H.W. Bush was the last president to invoke the Insurrection Act after around the riots surrounding the Rodney King issue. President Trump is using this language because he's sort of leading the witness and saying, at the end of the day, I could invoke the Insurrection Act because if Democratic leaders refuse to take care and protect their own citizens, then I will, and I have a responsibility, and I'll use every resource at my disposal, including the Insurrection Act, to secure our cities and make our residents feel safe again.
Mark, thank you for joining us. There's a reason they call it Chirac. And looks like we may be heading into Chipocalypse now. Mark, thank you for exposing the chaos in Chicago.
Thank you.
Mark Vargas has exposed the truth. Illinois Democrats would rather protect criminals than ICE officers, reject National Guard help than admit failure, and panic on camera than enforce the law. Trump's demand to jail Chicago's mayor and Governor Pritzker isn't hyperbole. It's accountability for officials who've abandoned their oath of office. Make sure you visit IllinoisReview.com for Mark's continued coverage of Illinois' implosion under Democrat rule. When elected officials choose sanctuary policies over citizen safety, federal intervention isn't just justified, it's necessary. Oh, and we are not done yet, my friends. We have breaking news out of Broadview, Illinois. This just in: Texas National Guard troops are now being deployed to the Broadview, Illinois facility tonight to provide security. Provided by Governor Greg Abbott, red states can band together and defend ICE against left-wing militants.
Let's get to breaking news at this hour. The Texas National Guard troops in Illinois are expected to be deployed to the Chicago suburbs tonight. The ABC station in Chicago is reporting troops will be providing security to an ICE processing center in the village of Broadview that is just outside of the city of Chicago. Now, this comes just one day after the Guard arrived at a training facility in Elwood, about an hour southwest of the city's downtown area. Again, this is a developing story. You can watch for another update coming up on World News.
Oh, and we have more updates here. We don't need you. Illinois Governor Pritzker, fearing President Trump, will deploy the military to the polls to confiscate ballot boxes and steal the upcoming votes. That's Governor Pritzker. This is the rhetoric that is infecting his brain due to Trump derangement syndrome.
Of the yelling at them. But they think they can get people used to the idea. And next year, I fear that what they're going to do is deploy these folks eventually to polling places and say they're protecting the vote. Donald Trump knows that without shenanigans and without these breaches of the Constitution, that he's going to lose the Congress. And if he loses, he's going to immediately, in the aftermath of the election, do what he said he might do in 2020, which is use the military to confiscate the ballot boxes and count the votes, claiming that there's fraud. Remember, he's called up all 50 states' election data to the Department of Justice because they want to review all 50 states for fraud.
Oh, yeah, because there was fraud in 2020, fat boy. Now we have this. People are following ICE vehicles in Chicago, honking their horns and yelling out to make sure that immigrants are warned about their impending arrival. What could possibly go wrong? Remember, just a couple days ago, we had an ICE vehicle rammed by someone in Chicago. CPD was told to stand down. And now they're chasing ICE around the city. And now we have the National Guard about to descend onto Broadview. Now, you've seen the footage from Broadview. Broadview is where they have been, the Antifa, the leftist agitators, the terrorists have been surrounding that building, preventing them from doing their job. Now, National Guard is going to be there. And now you see this. What in the hell? absolute madness in Chicago. 20 years in prison is what Pritzker and Johnson are now facing. And here is President Trump just a couple hours ago at that roundtable he held at the White House talking about Chicago.
Officials, I've seen the law, and when you have a group of people where the police call off the safety for ICE officials, I've understood that, and I've read it today in numerous journals, that that's illegal. What they did is I guess it was ICE, Christie, right? They were under threat, and the police were helping beautifully, and it was fine. And then all of a sudden, a woman was on the line saying, "Everybody, move back, get out, get out." And they were given an order by the second person in the police department, and the governor knew about it, the mayor knew about it. I understand that's a criminal offense. I've seen the law.
A criminal offense, as Mark Vargas just detailed exactly what that criminal defense is. Nick Sortor at the White House today, speaking directly to President Trump. Listen to this.
So when you have, based on what comes out of the garbage standing over here, that you guys are deporting U.S. citizens. So that's what's causing all these
when
problems.
you have a governor like Pritzker in Chicago, where you have Illinois, which is in a lot of trouble, Chicago's there, potentially a great city again. It's not great now, but it could be great again. That's why we have to get there soon, because eventually you can't do that. What makes a man like that say that things are wonderful? Why doesn't he say, we love that President Trump is going to come and help us clean up Chicago and make it safe again, as opposed to fighting us and pretending that there weren't 50 murders and 200 shootings and all of that? Why is that? Go ahead, Nick.
To spite you. To spite the administration. That's simply what it's about at this point. Because, if you go and talk to some of these citizens, like I'll use Portland as an example again, because I've been there for so long now. You talk to the neighbors that live in the apartments next door to the ICE facility. There are veterans with PTSD that live there, and they're hearing all night long screaming, fireworks being lit off by these rioters, children crying, because they, can't sleep at night and they're scared of all the noise outside, and they can't leave. They got a lease. You can't just leave. These people aren't wealthy individuals, and that's one of the major problems here. And these people are afraid to come out and speak out based on what comes.
They're doing it to spite President Trump. They would rather let their cities burn. Now here we have Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton says if Pritzker is arrested, she'll pick up right where he left off. Well, guess what? Then you're going to be arrested next, honey.
Listen, if Donald Trump thinks that by arresting Governor J.B. Pritzker that this fight is over, he is sorely mistaken, because he's going to have to come through me next, and I'm going to pick up right where J.B. left off. Illinois stands united in fighting back against Donald Trump's power grab. Listen, if Donald Trump thinks that by arresting...
That's a joke. Make me a sandwich, honey. Here's Tom Homan shredding the highly incompetent J.B. Pritzker.
Trump he hates Trump more than he cares about the safety of Chicago.
Yep.
They don't want President Trump to have a win on this, because what we're proving every day out there is the last 4 years under Joe Biden, historic levels of illegal immigration, historic number of Americans dying from fentanyl coming across an open border, historic number of women and children being sex trafficked. As we're out there removing these public safety threats, we're destroying their whole game they've had for the last 4 years, saying the border was secure, and they're not releasing unvetted aliens. We're proving them wrong every day, and they can't stand the truth. So again, President Trump is committed to American people to make this country safe again. I'm proud to work for President Trump. We can continue doing this. And like I said months ago, we will flood the zone in every sanctuary city. We're not going to stop. We're going to make this community safer, with or without their help. And
just go and arrest Pritzker and Johnson already, please. That is my prayer. Pritzker is panicking because he's absolutely powerless against Trump and nothing, and can do nothing to stop him. Listen to him. He says he's a wannabe dictator.
And I want to go to Illinois now, where the governor is standing by with Jacob Soboroff, a governor who has been fighting against having federal troops come into his cities and the environs, and as a result has said
heard it said by the President of the United States that he should be jailed. Jacob, let me throw it over to you and the governor.
Chris, thank you so much. Governor J.B. Pritzker, thanks for joining us live on MSNBC.
All right, Jake, good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. You know as well as I do, the President of the United States in the last 24 hours called for you to be imprisoned. I want to give you an opportunity. We've seen your reaction on social media, but I want to hear what you have to say back to the President of the United States.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come.
I don't think that'll be a problem, JB.
Come and get me.
What does that mean exactly, Governor?
He just said, come and get me. He just said, come and get me. President Trump, you're watching right now. I know you watch the show. Please, he just told you. He told you what to do. You got this, man. You got this.
Believe that he would follow through or that he'll chicken out. He basically said the same thing to Governor Gavin Newsom when I was with him at the height of the raids in the Los Angeles area. Governor Gavin Newsom is walking free in the streets of California. You think that he'll chicken out, or would he ever arrest you?
Well, you know the expression, Trump always chickens out, taco. And I got to say, he can't arrest.
Yeah, he knows that word. Taco. Extra meat.
We've done nothing wrong here. And very importantly, it's Donald Trump that is breaching the Constitution, breaking the law. We're taking him to court, and I believe we're going to win.
Right now.
Yeah, maybe you'll have to fight another court case pretty soon there, Chubby. All right, what else have we got here for you? Okay, 6 hours ago, the White House posted this. An incompetent mayor, a delusional governor, Chicago in chaos, and the American people are paying the price. Chicago doesn't need political spin. It needs help. And then they posted this video. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks pretty crazy.
The drugs, Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. We have a governor that refuses to admit he has problems. Everybody knows how bad it is. This open borders nightmare flooded our country with fentanyl and with people that shouldn't be here, some of the worst people on earth, and illicit drugs decimated American communities and left us with the largest law enforcement challenge in our country's history.
Residents say they have had enough.
We need to invite President Trump in. We invite the National Guard in. You know, we've had 254 deaths in 233 days. And for anyone in our community to say people are safe, that is an outright lie.
They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help. We don't want to lose Chicago. We're going to lose Chicago. We want to save these places. We're going to lose it. We're not going to allow this kind of savagery to destroy our society anymore. We're stopping it, doing one by one.
The White House putting them all on notice. Dude, that was like a movie trailer, but it's real life, guys. Tom Homan to Governor Pritzker.
Governor Pritzker should be calling President Trump up and thanking him for taking over 1,000 criminal aliens off the streets of his state. The same President Trump did in Los Angeles, the same he did in Washington, D.C., the same we're doing in other cities. We're there to make this city safer. And you think Governor Pritzker and the Mayor Johnson, their number one responsibility is protection of communities. Remove public safety threats from the public. We're there to do that. And we're not going to stop doing it. They can stand aside and watch us do it, but we're going to be out there tonight. We're going to be out there tomorrow. And thank God for Governor Abbott. He's sending troops out there to help protect ICE officers who have over 1,000% increase in attacks. So President Trump's doing the right thing. We're going to continue doing the right thing. We are not stopping what we're doing. Governor Pritzker should be...
We are not stopping. All gas, no brakes. Here we have the Oregon National Guard. The general says if the Oregon National Guard were to be deployed, they would be instructed under his leadership to protect the protesters and not ICE. Let's hear.
Facility. And so by serving in this mission, they will be protecting any protesters at the ICE facility. And so...
Oh, is that right? What else have we got here? Man, it's a smorgasbord tonight. Mayor Brandon Johnson alleges that it would not be legal for ICE to arrest illegal aliens who are sleeping peacefully in their communities. They write there are no laws prohibiting the arrest of illegal aliens just because they're sleeping.
agencies.
And what are you going to do?
Well, just this past week, I signed another executive order. We have 3 sweeping executive orders to make sure that the fundamental right to protest is intact. We're making sure that people know their rights, and all of our sister agencies and city departments are working in accordance with the local ordinance. And then now public property that the city owns, ICE cannot prepare its weapons on school parking lots. ICE cannot prepare to disappear families in the parking lots of libraries. That's not what these public accommodations are for. We literally had a South Side neighborhood under siege with black helicopters, Black Hawk helicopters, where individuals who were sleeping peacefully in their communities had masked, armed men stick long guns in their faces.
Oh, I mean, you mean the Tren de Aragua gang members who took over the vacant apartment complex? Yeah. Are we talking about the same people here, Brandon?
This is not the type of America that our ancestors fought hard to create. This is a fundamental attack on our democracy. It's not about immigration. It's not about safety. It's about authoritarianism. And we're going to push back, and we're going to defend Chicago and all American cities against this tyrant.
Oh, good luck with that there, buddy. Because the arrest is on the table. FBI Director Kash Patel, he says, when I was there today with Todd, we learned the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members.
100 shootings. Taking the juggernaut that is demolishing the weaponization of law enforcement and bringing it to places like Chicago. When I was there today with Todd, we learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members. That's right. You heard me right. They had 1,200 shootings this year alone, 360 homicides. When politicians choose to side with those metrics and not their citizenry, thank God we have President Trump and this Department of Justice and this FBI going in there and crushing violent crime. And President Trump sent us into these cities quietly to set the stage, to set up for the National Guard, to see the success that we saw in Washington, D.C., in Memphis. The FBI has been leading the charge in every single one of these streets because we know how to gather ground level intelligence, and we know how to put handcuffs on the bad guys, and we know that we have the backing of this administration. And most importantly, the agents at the FBI know that they have the backing of the American people and their government.
Hell yeah. We are backing you. I'm not sure what this woman's about to say, but
I'm 10.
Tagged me in this video. Just give it a quick look.
So I'm gonna need you to explain it to me like I'm 10. I want you to really break this down to me like I'm 10 years old and tell me why ICE agents zip tying black babies in Chicago, because I can't for the life of me understand why this happened. Why was this necessary? These are...
So people on the left right now are using that photo of that little boy and that guy. They're saying that it's an ICE agent arresting a child. But here's the original video.
Go, Plucky!
okay. Oh. It's a father and son. Wow. Taken totally out of context. Unbelievable. And that's what they're doing. Yep. Now you know.
Of me and my son playing cops and robbers. Literally, this is us.
That's just the father and son playing together. They're playing cops.
And they're using it out of context. ICE and Border Patrol are patrolling the Chicago River in downtown Chicago. The Chicago River is still green. St. Patrick's Day is months and months away. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson needs to be arrested. This news segment proves it. Brandon Johnson is leading a rebellion against the federal government in response to legal deportation operations. Seditionists. Here he is on CNN.
Is unstable, unhinged, a double...
Are designed to protect federal facilities and officers, and there have been some protesters around Chicago that have blocked access to the ICE facility in Broadview. Does that prove that this mobilization is needed?
No. In fact, this president is working to... Look, from the very beginning,
how are you going to spin this one, pal?
Always knew that sending in the federal agents was a pretext to the National Guard his ultimate goal is to send the military into American cities, which there aren't people who are signing up to serve and protect our democracy abroad to be then unleashed on the cities that are actually raising them. What we have seen is a full escalation from these federal agents. And a man was shot and killed. Another person.
Okay, Brandon. Yeah. Spin it any way you like. You're not even answering the question. President Trump, White House, posting this. President Trump, my goal is to stop crime in America. Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson. A picture of them crying. You got to love it. Nick Sortor, President Trump calls for Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson to be jailed for their failure to protect ICE officers. Sidney Powell writes, you're breaking federal law, Pritzker. You should be cuffed and hauled out of your office. The arrests are... now we know the crimes. Mark Vargas just revealed it for us. This is only the beginning of Chipocalypse now. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Now, this is not just another political spat. It's Constitution versus chaos. When elected officials openly defy federal law and order police to stand down while ICE agents are attacked, we've crossed into dangerous territory. Mark Vargas laid out the cold, hard facts. 4 federal statutes, 5 to 20 years, and a paper trail that leads straight to City Hall and the governor's mansion. Chicago's bleeding businesses, Walgreens pulling out of a 200,000 square foot downtown facility. The Magnificent Mile's become a war zone. Residents live in terror while their leaders play sanctuary games. Trump is not bluffing. He is drawing a line. Either we're one nation under law or we're not. So here's the question. Should mayors and governors who actively obstruct federal law enforcement face prison time? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. And while you're fired up, check out our merch shop, link down below, and show the world you stand for law and order. Woo! Yeah, oh my God, this is crazy. We are living in the wildest timeline ever, guys. And I'm here for it. You're here for it. You're watching the raw feed. If you're joining us now, I'm Gary Franchi. You're on the Next News Network. Hang out with us in the chat. Drop a super chat. Speaking of, we've got tons of super chats that are coming through. You guys are awesome. Heather Reeve dropping $5. Per character, a fan character. Laura M. dropping $19.99. I saw these headlines yesterday. Chinese hackers targeting U.S. law firms, and Israel caught spying on U.S. church attendees through their cell phones. Both have been working together in the tech industry. Interesting stuff. Thank you for that update, Laura. And then we got Nunya Beeswax dropping $30, praying Pritzker and Johnson get arrested. I think we all are. Truth Teller dropping $2. No comment necessary. Just a show of support. Barbara Leesman dropping $3. A Shiba dog with sparkles in his eyes saying, my hero, Inbred Outlook, is back. Dropping $2. That's A1. Come on, folks. Use your brain. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Inbred Outlook. AI, you mean? Okay. Well, the picture with Pritzker crying? Yeah, that was clearly an AI or manipulated image. All right, folks, we are not done yet. We're going to go on to the next topic because it is still happening. The shutdown continues, and we need to figure out exactly how we're going to get out of this. Oh, and Poopy dropping 20. Ice baby. That's right. We are now at our goal. We are only Poppy. It is Poppy, not Poopy. Sorry. Sometimes, you read things quickly. It's Poopy, Poppy. Thank you. $20. Ice baby. Okay, we're only an hour into the show. We got 4 more topics to hit. Let's keep the energy up. You guys dropping more money. Dark Brandon 2.0. Scott Kovac on YouTube. Our Canadian brother from the north dropping $2. Thank you for that. Feel horrible for what's happened to you guys up there in Canada. Yeah, that's another story. Let's keep going. The Democrat shutdown continues, and Nancy Pelosi just gave the game away. She went on CNN and imploded when confronted with simple facts. Republicans voting yes to keep government open, while Democrats vote no. When pressed to explain what's not clean about the bill, she fumbled harder than a rookie quarterback. The footage is devastating. And, of course, TSA agents working without paychecks, veteran services throttled, small businesses bleeding out. Why? Because Democrats want health care for illegal immigrants more than want Americans to have a functioning government. 6 Senate votes, 6 Democrat blockades, and Chuck Schumer won't budge. The House, well, they went home, left town while federal workers suffer. This is not governance, it's hostage taking. You're going to see the meltdowns for yourself. And while Democrats shut down the government over illegal immigrant benefits, American seniors are getting crushed by Medicare confusion. And that's where Chapter comes in. In less than 20 minutes, they will compare over 24,000 plans nationwide and help you save an average of $1,100 a year. Their independent advisors will work for you. They don't work for the insurance companies. And the annual enrollment period is here. It's now. And with this shutdown chaos, you need to secure your health care now. Don't let Washington's mess cost you thousands. Call Chapter 910-728-4109 or hit the link in the description. askchapter.org/next, but call 910-728-4109 right now. Protect yourself from all of this madness. And speaking of madness, the White House meme wars have just picked up steam. Hakeem Jeffries had a little spat. It looks like it was the halls of Congress today. And the White House just couldn't hold back and posted a meme. We're living in the timeline where the White House posting spicy memes. I'm here for every single minute of it. And I know you guys are too. I mean, the shutdown's nothing to laugh about. But when our president and his administration at 1600 Pennsylvania post this stuff, you just got to celebrate.
You're not going to talk. You're not going to talk to me. You're not going to talk to me and talk over
non-New York residents
because you don't want to hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm listening.
So why don't you just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
because you showed up.
Is that the way you talk?
You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one big ugly bill.
For this. You can extend it right now.
A permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of Americans.
So they can get a permanent extension.
90% of Americans take the standard deduction.
Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction.
Is that
right? If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That would have been a massive tax increase on Americans all across the country.
You're here, unfortunately.
You're against lifting the cap on salt.
Your billionaire donors.
The billionaire donors lifting the cap on salt. We put a income cap in place.
Why are you here right now?
Didn't you want all Republicans to be here? I'm here.
Where are the rest of your Republican
You wanted Republicans to be here. I'm here.
Why are you?
And by the way, you can pass an ACA extension right now. Sign on to this bill.
Did your boss
sign on to the bill?
Is your boss Donald Trump behind you?
HR 5145. Why don't you get on it?
Right.
Yeah, it's getting hot in D.C. It's got to be hot under that sombrero, though. I mean, the sombrero memes are all over the place, and I'm here for it. Trump announcing that we will take care of military paychecks so they won't be withheld due to government shutdown. It will require Democrats to vote on a simple one-topic authorization bill. One-topic bill. We'll see if that goes through. But what that exchange you saw was between Hakeem Jeffries and Representative Mike Lawler. Hakeem Jeffries furious. Why don't you keep your mouth shut? Hakeem getting up close, starting to point a finger at his chest. You're not going to talk to me and talk over me. This is an extended cut.
Show of this to me. Did you get permission from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss Donald Trump?
You can easily extend the ACA right now.
Did your boss Donald Trump give you permission? Yes, he is.
No, he's not. And by the way,
so let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to shut the government down? Why did you vote to shut it down?
Let me ask you a question.
For years, you always lectured about how we need to keep the government open.
You're making a show of this to make yourself relevant.
It's sad. You could easily sign on to this.
You're embarrassing yourself right now.
You could sign on to this. The only embarrassment here is you.
You're an embarrassment.
You could sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a question.
You have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me ask you a question.
Let
me ask you a question.
It's a clean extension for 1 year.
You voted for the one big ugly bill, correct?
You voted for the one big ugly bill, right? Here's more from Representative Lawler, another angle.
Voted to keep the government open. So don't sit here and try to lecture us about whether or not we did our job. We did our job. You did not.
Well, you're not doing your job right now.
Oh, you mean the bill that I'm signed on to extend it?
Oh, yeah. Cute, right. Because you know what? We actually have put forth legislation to do it.
You guys just keep pontificating. How about you go down the hall and go vote to open the government up? That would be great. All right, here's the clean.
Yeah, that's all going viral right now. Here's more from Hakeem Jeffries. House Republicans are on vacation right now. And then he goes on to call them extremists. Really?
House Democrats were here last week. House Democrats are here this week. House Democrats will be here next week. House Republicans are on vacation right now. That's extraordinary. They canceled votes last week. House Republicans have canceled votes this week. We haven't been in session since September 19th. And on that day, Republicans got out of town before sundown, never to be seen again. As we approach the government shutdown and are now in day 8 of the Trump Republican shutdown. And these extremists don't even want to show up to work when they're requiring hardworking federal employees to show up to work without pay because of the Republican shutdown.
Because of the Republican shutdown, he says. Actually, correction, it is the Schumer shutdown. Manu Raju, you know who he is, right? Anchor-in-chief congressional correspondent at CNN. He says no end in sight for shutdown as Senate remains at a standoff. House is out of session. For the 6th time, Democrats block the GOP bill. Okay, this is a CNN guy. Democrats block the GOP bill to reopen government 54-45. Same 3Ds vote yes. King, Cortez, Masto, Fetterman. Same are voting no. Paul. GOP blocking the Democrats' alternative for a 6th time. Breitbart News, 7 hours ago, continuing resolution to fund the government and end the shutdown fails again in the Senate for the 6th time, all because Schumer refuses to retire a millionaire and give up his seat to the party's new leader. Yes, everybody is eyeing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is eyeing Chuck Schumer's Senate seat, or perhaps even a presidential run in the next cycle. She'll probably either run or be a vice presidential pick. Who knows how that's going to end up, but either way, it is scary. Nancy Pelosi, Gunter Eagleman writes, is drunk off her rocker on CNN. She can barely sit up straight.
And then the Republicans is here at the table. Day 8 of the government. First of all, thank you so much for being here in person. We are day 8. This is a real stalemate, unless you know something I don't. But, you know, right now what we're seeing is President Trump and Republican leaders are saying they're not going to negotiate on extending the health care subsidies until the government reopens. So I guess my first question is, what's wrong with that position? Why not open the government and then negotiate?
The government was opened, and then the Republicans closed it because they did not want to extend health care subsidies.
Health care subsidies for illegals, I think, is what she means.
Means that will raise the cost of health care to America's working families. They had their chance for all of this, but they didn't do it. Now they're saying, oh, if you open it, we'll do it. I don't believe that, but nonetheless, here's the thing.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying, go ahead, open the government, we'll have that conversation. But yet Pelosi and Schumer are holding Americans hostage.
The reason that the government is shut down is because the Republicans have insisted on taking down the subsidies, also Medicare, Medicaid, all of that, food for children, hundreds of billions of dollars for SNAP.
Actually, President Trump just said they are going to preserve the WIC payments. So another lie from Nancy Pelosi.
To give a tax cut to the wealthiest people and the wealthiest corporations in America. You don't expect us to say, okay, we'll agree to your giving a tax cut to the richest people in America and increasing the cost of health care to open government. It's going to be up to them. They shut down government, and they're going to have to open up government. They have the Republicans.
I mean, is she slurring because she's drunk, or is she just slurring because she's Nancy? I don't know.
Every shutdown since the 90s, when I've been around anyway, has been a Republican shutdown.
And, of course, this one is a Democrat shutdown.
I mean, I understand what you're saying about where the differences are, and they are very big. They are voting yes on what we say here in Washington, a clean CR, a bill to keep the government running for 7 weeks, and Democrats are voting no, and for the reasons you just said. So how are they shutting down the government?
First of all, it isn't a clean CR.
Okay.
So let's not stipulate to that. It's not a clean CR.
What do they have in
it's
it?
going into that. The point is...
She says, don't stipulate to that. Watch.
First of all, it isn't a clean CR.
Okay.
So let's not stipulate to that. It's not a clean CR.
What do they have in
it's
it?
going into that. The point is, Democrats who created Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, all of that.
Yeah, Democrats who created socialism for the United States and made everyone dependent upon government. Those Democrats.
Now being asked, reject that so we can give a tax cut to the rich. We're not doing it. And it isn't a question of, well, let's come back together so we can discuss it. That isn't going to happen. They had that chance. Now they just have to open government with it as a stipulation.
So how about you just go ahead and pass the vote? Pass the bill, pass the clean CR, open up government so we don't have to worry about what's going to happen when we go to the airport. If there's going to be air traffic controllers in the towers. I mean, or if those who have gone home, now that workload is now passed on to another tower. And what if that tower operator is overworked? Oh, he just happens to miss one of those 747s flying at O'Hare. Yeah, think about that for a second. I'm not talking about delayed flights, okay? That's an inconvenience. When a 747 crashes because there's no air traffic controllers or they're overworked, the blood is on your hands, Nancy. The blood is on Schumer's hands. Geesh. Here is Caitlin Collins talking with Jim Jordan. CNN's Caitlin Collins grows visibly irritated on air as Representative Jim Jordan calls out Democrats for backing health care benefits for illegal immigrants. Collins tries to move on as she sifted through her papers, but Jordan wasn't letting her off. Watch this.
If premiums jump, people can't afford it. They don't have health care. And then the burden on people who are sick and need that coverage is higher.
I tell you what the Democrats want. The Democrats want health care for people who are non-citizens. That's driving up health care costs, too.
Don't change the subject from the subsidies.
No, the subject is you're talking about health care, and all I know is Maxine Waters said we want health care for illegal immigrants.
But I'm talking about the subsidies themselves.
Every single Democrat presidential candidate back in 2020, they asked them, how many of you will support health care for people who are non-citizens, for illegal immigrants? Everyone on stage raised their hand. Kamala Harris raised her hand. Joe Biden raised his hand. Pete Buttigieg, they all raised their hand. That's what they're for. That's what they want here in this bill.
But that's we went through all this with House Speaker Mike Johnson last week. Trust me. But my point was on the subsidies
and you went
themselves.
Through because that's their position, and we're opposed to that position. We don't think that's common sense. We don't think that's good for the country. We don't think that's the right approach. What we do think is we can have a debate on what's better for health care, but we don't think extending and expanding Obamacare and giving it to illegal migrants is going to help the citizens. How's that going to help the families I represent?
To stay on the subsidies.
Even people who are in Obamacare.
To
how's
stay
that
on
going
the
to help
subsidies,
them?
which I'm talking about.
No, how's that going to help them?
Your fellow.
How's that going to help them?
If premiums jump.
Oh, love that. Wow. Looks like we have a meme alert. President Trump raised the bar. Kamala failed the bar. AOC worked at the bar. Pelosi lives at the bar. Biden can't spell the bar. And Hillary should be behind bars. Funny. We're making jokes over here. Speaking of jokes, Sean Farash, the great Trump impersonator of our time, recently posted by President Trump himself on his X account, says the government is shut down because the Democrats want to give illegal aliens free health care. They don't realize it, but they told on themselves back in a Newsweek article from May. Oh, let's listen.
25 before the change to the federal match for the Affordable Care Act Medicaid population in these states would mean that each state has to cover the cost of Medicaid by a greater amount. In total, it would shift $92 billion in costs from the federal government to the states. Wait a second. So you're telling me that in an article that is telling you which states provide health care to illegal aliens from May of 2025, before the passage of the Big Beautiful Bill, they're saying that if the Big Beautiful Bill passes and those cuts were to take place, the same cuts that the Democrats are trying to put back into this continuing resolution to reopen the government, that $92 billion of cost would be shifted from the federal government to the states. In other words, the federal government was sending money to the states to reimburse them for giving health care to illegal aliens. And there you go. That's not me citing Breitbart News or Fox News or Newsmax. That is coming directly from Newsweek back in May of 2025. The left telling on themselves those exact cuts that the Democrats are against, that they are trying to put back into the continuing resolution that would open the government. They admit in that article, right there, I read it to you, that those funds were being used to reimburse states that were giving health care, taxpayer-funded health care, to illegal aliens. It's over. Thanks so much for...
Boom. That was a bomb. Thank you, Sean. Georgia. Let's go to Georgia. Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock's shutdown is impacting not only people's wallets, but local businesses now, too.
The government shutdown has been impacting not only people's wallets, but local businesses that are starting to see fewer customers, making more wonder when and if they'll get their next paycheck, especially near Fort Gordon. Each day means clipping away more paychecks.
Anxious, nervous, because, whether I have clients or not, I still have to, pay for the business. So just a little nervous and anxious right now.
An impact felt from hair salons.
More people have been calling to reschedule or having to cancel their appointments because they don't know if they're going to get paid or not. So it has really been slow, starting last week.
To restaurants.
On a regular day basis, a lot of military people be coming in here and a lot of customers too be coming in a lot, but then ever since the whole situation with the government,
someone needs to let her know that the pandemic is over
and everything, not a lot of people have been in here lately. Recently we just had an award for our city of Growtown, and because of that award there's been a lot of people been showing up and buying a lot of plates and everything, but lately that hasn't been happening at all.
Causing unexpected cuts.
They got to try to decide whether do I eat, pay my bills, or get my hair done. Getting your hair done is it's not a necessity. It's, it's just something that you do. So of course that's going to come last when it comes to your paycheck.
Because what comes last for some customers?
It comes first with us, because if we don't get clients, we don't get paid.
Wondering how much longer this will last.
Business is running still, but not as much as it used to be.
While doing what they can in case the shutdown continues.
We're just hoping that...
So here's what's going to happen, and I'll tell you what's going to happen. You see, small businesses like that, they're going to start feeling the squeeze. When people are going to the airports and their flights are getting delayed, TSA agents feeling like pawns, like this report here, that pressure is going to build up in the people, and they're going to start looking for someone to blame. And when you even have CNN, I showed you that tweet, they're calling it, the Democrats blocking it. It's going to have a massive blowback on the Democrats. All these people are slowly getting squeezed. I spoke with Mark Vargas about this, and I said, how much pain do they want to inflict on the American people? They don't care. They want their pet projects paid for. They want the illegal aliens to get health care so they can turn them into voters so they can look like a savior. Here, this is TSA feeling like pawns.
Without pay, Worker says anything helps when you aren't getting a paycheck.
federal employees are feeling like pawns right now in the middle of a game. Our congressional leaders are not going to go without pay. So why play around with everyone else's?
The union president tells me they are hoping for the best, especially because the holidays are typically the busiest time here at the airports and because TSA workers are expecting those paychecks to buy gifts for their families during the holiday season. Worker says anything helps.
So how many TSA agents are out there not getting paid, right? Maybe they're going to get a little lazy at the job. Maybe something that we don't want will slip through the TSA checkpoint. Maybe a plane will crash. The White House continuing with the memes of the sombreros, posting this: nothing beats Democrats shutting down the government for criminal illegal alien health care. A shower of sombreros over the Capitol building. This is going to continue to get more and more of a burden on the veteran, says Secretary of Veteran Affairs on the Democrat shutdown. Listen.
The system,
What is the impact so far on the VA of this shutdown?
You just sort of named it. Basically, it's our forward-facing outreach to veterans that are trying to get into the system, finding out about the system. We can't really work with state, county, tribal, our community-based partners through this central office right now. We just can't do that. Transitioning programs are in career counseling, but our VR&E, those are shut down right now. But this is going to continue to get more and more a burden on the veteran as we go through. Now, let me make very clear, our hospitals, clinics, disability payments, all of that is covered, though will not be touched by the shutdown that has been forced upon us by the Democrats in the Senate. But we do have issues of, just being able to help people in that outreach capacity.
And all because they don't want to pass a clean CR. They want to give health care to illegals. The extreme wing of the party continues to hold them hostage. And, yeah. So if you got value for this report, we're going to continue to follow this. Tap subscribe, because now my final thought is here. So the shutdown con game just got exposed on live television. Pelosi could not defend the indefensible. Democrats are choosing illegal immigrants over American citizens, period. 6 failed votes in the Senate, while TSA agents work for IOUs and veterans get stiffed. Then, the tell came straight from Sean Farash. That Newsweek article from May showed Democrats bragging about free health care for illegals. Now they're holding the entire government hostage to get it. Georgia businesses are losing customers. Families are missing paychecks. Air traffic controllers not showing up to work. But Schumer won't move because his donors demand it. And we revealed this. Who are the donors? None other than George Soros. You see, this isn't about clean bills or procedure. It's about priorities. And Democrats just showed theirs. Foreign nationals first. American workers last. So here's the question. Should Republicans cave and fund illegal immigrant benefits to end the shutdown? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments. And hey, grab some Next News gear from our shop. It's still open because we're not backing down. Oh, man. Wow. The shutdown continues. We are at day 8. Okay, Lone Star. And let's see, we got Dark Brandon. We saw that one. John Lee, thank you from the Steel Man. Lone Star Gemini. I want a sombrero meme. Janie, boots on the ground, America first. Tyson Curie, dropping $5. Congress pay needs to stop as well during a shutdown. The government would never shut down if that was the case. That's true. And Scott Kovac just became a member. Welcome to the family. All right. So we have got to get to our next topic because we see what's happening in Chicago. We see what's happening in Portland. But what just happened at the White House is game-changing. As you know, the president just declared Antifa domestic terrorists. And he called in the experts today. Big roundtable meeting. You're not going to see this on CNN. Oh, no. The White House just became ground zero for truth. President Trump gathered the journalists who've bled for their reporting. Andy Ngo, James Klug, Katie Daviscourt, Julio Rosas, Brandy Cruz. These aren't TV talking heads. They're the ones who took the beatings, captured the footage, exposed the terror. Andy Ngo described bleeding from his eyes and ears after Antifa's mob attack. Klug testified about witnessing cops assaulted and buildings firebombed. FBI Director Kash Patel and DHS Secretary Noem sat there taking notes, then promised total war on the terror network. Attorney General Pam Bondi declared the crackdown is on. After years of media denial, the president just put Antifa's victims at the head table. The hunters are now the hunted, so do not look away. And while Antifa terrorists hide behind masks, destroying skin and bones with their violence, Americans are taking control of their health. A meta-analysis of 23 controlled trials proved collagen supplements deliver real improvements in skin hydration and elasticity. That's why I use Ageless Multi-Collagen. It supercharges your body with 5 types of premium collagen. Since starting daily collagen and from a smoother skin, fewer fine lines, and stronger joints. Don't let these mask cowards age you with stress. Fight back with self-care. Grab Ageless Multi-Collagen for 51% off at healthwithgary.com. Plus, get free VIP coaching, free shipping, and their amazing ebook. That's healthwithgary.com. You'll find it linked down below. Now, we're learning. We just posted this on X 36 minutes ago. The Guardian just ran cover for Antifa again. In their latest hit piece, they mocked Kristi Noem for comparing Antifa to ISIS, Hamas, and MS-13, calling her extreme. But here's what they left out. Antifa burns cities, attacks police, and silences dissent. Organized, funded, and violent. Now they're spinning that. All the witnesses at the Trump Antifa roundtable were conservative influencers who present no evidence. Translation, they don't like that real journalists are exposing the less militant, secret street army. This is not reporting, it's propaganda. The media protects Antifa because Antifa protects them. This is the hit that just came out of The Guardian. Oh, yes, and The Guardian has attacked me in the past. President Trump in the White House today. Total media blackout on this. President Trump holding the White House roundtable on Antifa. Noem compared them to ISIS and Hamas, yet CNN and MSNBC said nothing. Why? Because admitting it's news would expose the lie that Antifa is just activists. Covering it means conceding Trump was right, so they bury it. Silence is the new censorship, and after Trump roasted their ratings, calling CNN dying like a dog, maybe they were just too butthurt to cover it. Listen.
You ever see their ratings are terrible?
They are terrible.
MSNBC is dying, and CNN is dying like a dog.
And
poor CNN, they're so pathetic.
It is very pathetic.
You ever see their anchors in the evening? That nobody ever heard of them. Where do these people come? I could take anybody off the street in Washington, D.C. that do a better job.
Yeah, and it's not hard to show what's going on these days. You literally have an iPhone and you can post it on X.
They don't believe in the star system, It's just one of those things, right?
Oh, my goodness, man, that's just one of the moments from this meeting. OSINT defender, a close-up of the note that Secretary of State Marco Rubio handed President Donald Trump during his roundtable earlier at the White House, which read very close, "We need you to approve a Truth Social post soon so you can announce a deal first." We need you to approve a Truth Social post. Nice. Here is Donald Trump. This is the moment handed a note by Marco Rubio during the event. He tells reporters, "I was given a note saying we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me very quickly." Really?
Covered.
Go ahead, please.
Well, they're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. They have been covered by these liberal cities for so many years. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I'm just giving... Yeah, I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly, so I will take a couple of more questions.
All right, let's check in real quick. I want to see if we can find the Truth Social post here. I think I've got Truth Social on this device. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Yes, I do. Am I logged in? I don't know. Sign in to True Social. All right, is it going to work? Well, now I got to figure out my password. Come on now. Which email address did I use? Oh, it's not on this phone. Oh, maybe. Wait. Oh, wait. Nope. Darn it. Okay. Todd, maybe you could find that True Social post. Either way, let's get back to what was going on. I thought I had logged in right away, but maybe not. Okay. Donald Trump handed the note. New at the White House. Here is a group for the round table.
Tactics. Patriots, you guys, today we are at the White House for an Antifa roundtable, talking about Antifa, their tactics, basically personal experiences for the entire table. So we have a bunch of patriots here, a bunch of amazing journalists here to share their personal experiences with the president and this administration. It's gonna be a good time. Patriots, you guys, today we are at the White House for an Antifa roundtable, talking about Antifa, their tactics.
Let's keep going. What else? Let's get to the meat. Okay, here is Katie Daviscourt focusing on ICE.
I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post Millennial alongside Andy No and Jack Posobiec. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening in Portland at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months, and this is a call out to corporate media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it. This is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials. The Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came. I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle.
They're just letting him go. They're letting him go. Here's that post. We found it. This is the True Social post that President Trump was approving about the, he says, I'm proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of the peace plan. This means that all the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps towards strong, durable, and everlasting peace. So that was what they needed to approve. President Trump getting the note in the middle of the Antifa meeting. Here is Andy No as he is walking up to the White House. He's been a guest here before.
How are you feeling, Andy?
It feels a bit surreal.
Yeah, what do you want to most tell the president today?
I want to express gratitude. Yeah, because I think an administration has a million things to do, and even though this is very important, there's also other very important things. But the fact that his administration is prioritizing this, I have a lot of appreciation and gratitude for them.
How are you feeling, Andy?
Oh, I gotta get back there. I have got the itch. Andy No for his anti-Antifa stance and support for Trump encounters Portland Antifa and gets treated to plenty of milkshakes. This is how they treated him. And now he's at the White House treating them. Here is more from Katie Daviscourt. You know, I saw she looked like she had a black eye, and I wasn't sure. And then she confirmed it. This is a couple days ago when she was talking about it.
That's good.
Good. Katie Davis Court has been on the ground covering Antifa and is a post-millennial reporter. All right, your eye looks better. How's it feeling, Katie?
It definitely still hurts, but it is healing a little bit, so that's good.
Good. So the Portland Police Department is blaming you for getting jabbed in the eye.
Yeah, can you believe this? So not only did Portland police refuse to detain my assault suspect that I hand-delivered to them, they submitted court testimony in a court of law blaming me for my own assault and falsely accusing me of being a counter-protester. I have taken this as a declaration of war against myself, and it's a battle that I am determined to win. Portland police will have you believe that they have this situation under control and that federal intervention is not needed, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. The truth is that Portland police has had zero ground presence outside of ICE since late June until now. They have abandoned the citizens of Portland, leaving them to fend for themselves against domestic terrorists who are assaulting, maiming, who really actually want to kill their political opponents. But most importantly, I think is worth mentioning is Portland police has abandoned their brothers and sisters in law enforcement, the men and women of ICE and FPS who have faced relentless attacks for the past 4 months.
Portland is a war zone. Chicago's a war zone. Here's President Trump talking about the epidemic of left-wing violence. Antifa-inspired terror.
Riotous mob, the epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. And you'll find that out. You'll be finding it out very soon. You should see what we have on these people. These are bad people. These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen. They've used armed gangs to assault local police in cities nationwide, and they've attacked journalists reporting on their crimes. So the journalists that report on their crimes, don't worry, you're very safe. I hope that's not going to turn you around, but they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa.
Oh, here's more from the president.
And support them. Under the last administration, the Department of Justice targeted faithful Catholics, Christians, and patriotic parents as domestic extremists. They said, oh, they're extreme because they believe in God. They're extreme because they go to a Catholic church, or evangelicals, where everybody was under the gun. Unless you are a really bad, sick person, then they left you alone. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and all who fund and support their campaigns are in serious trouble. And we have a lot of records already, a lot of surprises, a lot of bad surprises. It's people that you would never think. Under the last administration, the Department of...
Okay, let's keep going. Happening today at the White House, the president hosting the round table. Here's more from Pam Bondi.
We've seen, as you made clear, Antifa is a domestic left-wing terrorist organization. We've seen them on video for years because they wanted to be seen and they got away with it. They beat journalists, they attack courthouses, they attack police stations, they dox and assault our law enforcement officers. The Biden administration let them commit these crimes with total impunity for years. So did Democrat leaders like Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Last week, independent journalist Nick Sorter was arrested just for protecting himself against Antifa. I saw it online and I called Nick. I couldn't believe what happened. He did all this just trying to save our American flag from being burned. He was pushed down and assaulted, yet the local police arrested Nick, not the Antifa thugs who did this to him. Antifa feels empowered to operate in the open because weak Democrats have turned a blind eye to their actions. Their hatred for President Trump and for law and order agendas fuels their violence. We've seen more than 1,000% increase in attacks against our ICE agents since January 20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This is not activism, it's anarchy. We can't and we will not let masked terrorists burn our buildings, attack our law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership, President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement to crack down on Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations led by Stephen Miller. And Stephen, thank you for everything you're doing. Last week, I issued a memo ordering our federal law enforcement agents, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and ATF to protect ICE officers from Antifa and other radical left-wing violence. Director Patel has been going non-stop. He and Deputy Attorney General Blanche were in Chicago yesterday. While Secretary Noem was in Portland, we are around this country fighting against this domestic terrorism. We had Apple and Google take down the ICE block apps. Hope they continue to comply with that. It's threatening the safety of our federal law enforcement officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence.
Yeah, baby. Antifa going down hard. Wow. Here's Secretary Noem on Antifa.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting today and focusing on Antifa and the terrorists that they are. Let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country. They want to kill them. Their agenda is to destroy the American people and our way of life, and this president is standing in their way. He is stopping them from bringing their death and their destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to raise their kids and their grandkids in peace and in safety. I want to also thank everyone around this table for being so bold and so brave, for standing up and recognizing the threat that Antifa is to our way of life. By recognizing how advanced they are, how sophisticated their networks are, how they've infiltrated our entire country, and we're seeing them play out with their tactics from city to city, and how they have built out their funding mechanisms. And, sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms and individuals who are perpetuating this violence on our American cities. Well, thank you, Mr. President.
Let's keep going here. We got to find, Kash Patel. Brandon Cruz, we'll get to that. Here's more from the president. Here's Andy No. Julio Rosas on Newsmax. We don't play Newsmax clips here. Where is the... Here it is. Okay, James Klug. Check this out.
CNN, a handful of those other outlets. Mr. President, thank you so much for having us all here to bring attention to this matter. You did mention MSDNC, CNN, a handful of those other outlets that have been lying about, various things, but especially what ICE, the brave men and women over at ICE have been doing. I was talking to Antifa members in Portland the other day, and a lot of these people genuinely believe, they buy these lies, and they genuinely believe that they're fighting against literal Nazis and not brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line to basically, enforce basic immigration law, right? That everyone seemed to agree with up until maybe a few years ago, a handful of years ago. So once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is James Klug. While my primary job is traveling around the country, having conversations with Americans about various political topics and issues, I have had a lot of run-ins with Antifa over the last 5 years. And I do think that Antifa is a primary reason why many conservatives are afraid to go out and protest and make their voices heard and maybe bring friends and family to a demonstration and exercise their First Amendment right, because they are literally deathly afraid. And I talk to these people all the time. They're afraid of militants showing up in black bloc and hurting them and their families. And, I've personally witnessed Antifa assaulting hundreds of police officers. I've witnessed them firebombing police departments and federal property. I've witnessed them making death threats against federal agents, police officers, journalists. I think I've witnessed every single person here, maybe not personally, but I've seen them get, hunted down and attacked. And so, this is a group that is responsible for a good percentage, if not a majority, of the violent riots in 2021 and 2020, when Democrat mayors had a kind of a hands-off approach with these left-wing militants. Just as a quick reminder for everybody, we're talking about dozens of murders that happened in those riots. We're talking about billions of dollars of damage to property and communities all over the country. We're talking about thousands of officer injuries. So this isn't just like some little thing that they're, they punch a journalist here and there. No, they're responsible for a lot of damage and a lot of people that have, unfortunately died, and basically suppressing people's voices, And so what I did want to talk about is, to get this footage, almost every single person in the room here, to get this footage, you have to go undercover because you are at risk of being beaten or worse. You have to go undercover. You have to film low key to capture them committing crimes. This is stuff that the mainstream media was not doing and has not been doing. They'll show when Antifa is maybe, it's a little bit more peaceful, and they'll show when it's more mellow, but they'll remove the cameras when things get violent and it's actually dangerous to be here. And I have personally witnessed legacy media vans showing up at a riot 300 yards away, getting out of the vehicle, filming for 30 seconds, saying something like, fiery but mostly peaceful, packing up, and to add insult to injury, you have Democrat politicians that are saying, it's just an idea, right? That's all this is. So it's just an idea. After all of this chaos, it's just an idea. Well, that idea has threatened to kill me and many of my friends that are here today. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront. And it's definitely making a big change. Really appreciate you.
These guys are heroes, man. These guys are heroes on the front lines. Here's President Trump. He was talking about the deal in the Middle East. It's going to happen. Good chance of happening. Looks like he's going to be maybe going there towards the end of the week. In fact, I did get a call from a colleague at the White House, and they did say that they were going to be potentially traveling with the White House there. So stay tuned for more information on that. Here's Andy No. Speaking about the violent attack he once faced while covering Antifa in Portland, not the milkshake attack. Okay, this is different.
And that I saw, and I was assigned to cover the election night demonstrations. Well, the elections night protests turned to riots, 3 days of violent rioting in Portland, and it was the first time that I saw groups dressed in black with their faces covered. This was 4 years before COVID. Some of them were waving the black flag of anarchism, some the red flag of Marxism. And within seconds, they would ravage one street to another, to another, to another. And the next day, I would read the legacy media, which I still read at that time and looked forward to, and I looked up to those journalists. And I was really shocked to see that the narrative was that these, in my view, anti-democratic political violence was legitimate acts of protest because people were concerned about racism or all these other lies. And so for the next 4 years, I just continued going out with my video camera. I thought, look, people can ignore what I write because of spin, but videos can quite speak for themselves. And in 2019, it led to me nearly losing my life. I was covering another Antifa protest turned riot. At that point, had been routine in Portland, and then I was ambushed in a mob beating. And I had never been in a fight I didn't even realize that I was being assaulted until seconds in. And the punches came from everywhere on my head and my face, and I was bleeding out of my eyes and ears. And then they threw all the drinks in my eyes to humiliate me further and to laugh at me. And I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance and CT scan, and I had subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding in the brain. I nearly died. And after surviving that, the reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they branded me far right. And some even went so far as to suggest that I maybe faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which I did provide. But this felt so, it's like because I didn't die in that attack, there was another round of people who wanted to finish me off. And I was assigned.
The media is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Here's the face. Antifa mugshots. This is why they wear masks. Look at these people. The faces of evil. One after another. These people look like they are just soaking in demons. Here's the FBI director, Kash Patel.
Go after criminals. Mr. President, the American people gave you a sweeping mandate in your victory in this election cycle, and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your leadership, has provided us with the resources that we need, which is a whole of government approach to go after criminals absolutely everywhere, not just outside of this country, but within this country. And that takes a whole of government approach. The interagency seated up here with the Department of Homeland Security, our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, and your White House staffers, and including Stephen Miller's leadership, has allowed us to go out there and map out these networks. What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming everyday citizens in every single one of our communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live time because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're putting their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag. The least we can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities, which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is. It will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you. Mr.
Slap him around with the Constitution, Cash. Go for it. And we got some breaking news coming in right now. This just in, MSNBC actually reporting hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters in Chicago
of downtown.
right now.
Look at this. This is Michigan Avenue in the middle of downtown Chicago. Here, too, hundreds, if not thousands of people. Look at this. This is Michigan Avenue.
And look at those signs. Every one of those signs was made in a print shop. This is an organized, paid protest, no doubt going to end up in violence and fire tonight in Chicago. Michigan Avenue right now, the Magnificent Mile under siege. as President Trump deploys the National Guard to the streets of Chicago. They're on their way to Broadview right now. The Texas Guard, Governor Abbott sending them in. This is just happening. I just got word of this. Also, waves of paid protesters storming the streets of Chicago for liberation, waving Mexican flags. What do we want? Legalization. When do we want it? Now. Yeah, so this is what's happening in Chicago. No ICE in Chicago. We want legalization? Okay, well, send the buses.
We rising up, won't take it no more. We rising up, won't take it no more. All right, y'all, make some noise. Make some noise if you're fighting for Chicago. Make some noise if you're fighting
This
for
goes on.
liberation.
This clip goes on for 4 minutes, folks. Look at these signs. I'm just going to skip through it. This is the 2-minute mark. Stop the Trump agenda. It goes on and on and on. Demanding the National Guard out. Look at all these people. Michigan Avenue, under siege. Here's more. Oh my goodness. Peaceful, happening now. Chicago's peaceful chaos on display. Hundreds clog Michigan Avenue demanding change. But somehow it's always the same story. Block traffic and zero accountability.
Lawn is Michigan Avenue. I'm walking through downtown Chicago right now. There are hundreds, if not thousands of people out here. And they're not happy about what's happening on the streets of Chicago. Armed federal law enforcement, not just those National Guard troops from Texas, but the Border Patrol, ICE, other federal agencies on the streets of Chicago taking people indiscriminately off the streets, not because they're the worst of the worst, but because they're...
Yeah, another paid mouthpiece. Anti-Trump protests making way down Michigan Avenue. Oh, my God. This is not going to end well in Chicago. I think we've got an aerial shot here. Let's see. Look at this shot. Nick Sortor 16 minutes ago, and Nick was actually at the White House today at the Antifa meeting roundtable that we're covering. This just in, countless anti-ICE protesters taking over the streets of Chicago. Maybe Chicago should be the next city I visit to expose. Come on in. Look at it. Here's the helicopter view. Thousands of protesters clogging the streets. This is not going to end well. Protests at this hour often turn violent and fiery, not mostly peaceful. No doubt Antifa embedded within that mob, about to turn Chicago into a war zone on Michigan Avenue. This is happening right now. We're going to keep tracking this throughout the show. Let's check in. I think we have one more segment here from the Antifa meeting. Julio Rosas. Let's see. This is, this is not from the meeting, but this is Ben Bergquam, a friend of the show. Unbelievable footage. I witnessed Portland PD giving advice to Antifa terrorists on how to avoid federal troops being allowed into the city after the temporary restraining order against President Donald Trump was upheld by the activist judge.
Got the balls. I'm sorry. Was granted. It's okay. It's all right. You don't want to listen. Real quick. Real quick. So the judge granted the TRO. Hey, I'm the one who got stabbed in 2020 by you guys. I hope he gets stabbed again. Yeah. You ain't got the balls to do it, though. That's a death threat. You ain't got the balls to do it. That's a death threat. You ain't got the balls to do it, so keep yapping your mouth like a
That's a death threat. Why don't you go arrest me?
It's harder for the judge.
You arrest me for protesting in the street.
We have a good reason why we actually need them. So that's why we're asking people to get out of the street. Is it illegal to get out of the street? They could arrest you, but we're asking you guys voluntarily, let's just get on the sidewalks. Because if a car comes through and hits somebody, it's a better way for the government to say we need the feds.
And we do definitely need the feds. We definitely need the feds in here. Because your mayor is terrible. It's giving you terrible orders. You guys should be able to work with ICE.
Jeez, man. What the hell is going on here? Okay, we got the Klug clip. We've got Brandon Randy Cruz. Can't play that one. Newsmax doesn't let us play their clips. I think we got it all. Yeah. But now that breaking news, that last minute breaking news. Here, more video from Chicago. Massive protest taking place right now.
Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation!
Well, what they need to do is just bring the buses and round them all up. This is only the beginning, folks. It's going to be a long night. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So for 15 years, independent journalists documented Antifa's terror while the establishment called them conspiracy theorists. Today, those battered truth tellers sat in the White House as the president declared war on their attackers. Andy Knows Blood, James Klug's testimony, Katie Davenport's 4 months covering Portland's ICE siege. It all matters now. Kash Patel promised to hunt every donor, every funding source, every organization bankrolling these masked terrorists, and all roads lead to George Soros. DHS Secretary Noem giving Portland an ultimatum: control Antifa or watch federal agents quadruple. The days of milkshakes and mob beatings are over. However, in the streets of Chicago, they have not yet got that memo. But the hunters have become the hunted, and the federal government that once targeted parents as extremists now aims its full force at actual domestic terrorists. So here's the question of the day. Should Antifa, should it be completely dismantled, or should they be allowed to run roughshod in the streets? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. You can support real journalism. Check out our American Badass merch collection. Let's show these cowards what courage looks like. All right, speaking of cowards, we're going to move on to James Comey in our next segment. Oh, yes. What was that? I saw a message. Jason says, paid buses and protesters. A couple super chats to get to. Flying Eagle, dropping $10. USA. Inbred Outlook, $2. You rock, Gary. Thank you. Tom B420 just dropping $5 to say thank you. We appreciate you, Tom. And RC sends in $10 from Canada. The woman who deceived the entire world, Hillary Clinton, mother of harlots, has been caught running a message network. Interesting. Wouldn't surprise me, though. Inbred Outlook. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Yeah, they got to pull the Band-Aid off. Okay, we got to get to our next topic because James Comey in the crosshairs today. Todd, if you got any last-minute stuff you want to add, please do. I know Tom's watching as well. He's the one that messaged me about what's happening in Chicago. He loaded up those clips for us. Lots happening right now at the Next News Network. Our boy dropping $5. Show G some love, smack the like, and send a super chat. Thank you, our boy. We are at $158.11. Okay. Do we have the shot? Okay. All right. Let's go. James Comey slithered into court today like a snake. No handcuffs, no perp walk, no mugshot. The former FBI director snuck through a side entrance to face federal charges, lying to Congress and obstruction of justice. 2 felonies that could mean some serious prison time. But while Peter Navarro got dragged off a plane in leg irons for a misdemeanor, Roger Stone, house getting raided in front of CNN cameras. Well, Comey got to keep his phone and his hard drives, strolling in like visiting royalty. Madison Cawthorn, remember him? He called it perfectly. 2-tier justice, alive and thriving. Juanita Broderick tweeted what millions were thinking. This is BS. Eric Schmidt warned Clapper and Brennan to lawyer up. The deep state's golden boy just got his wake-up call. We're going to watch him squirm. But did you know that gold has gone mainstream? That's right. You're seeing it everywhere. Prices keep climbing, and every day more and more Americans are catching on to the power of gold. But how do you actually take advantage of it? How do you invest in a way that's simple, safe, simple, and built for the long run? That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. Noble Gold specialists are trained to help investors like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. Whether you're looking to roll over a 401k into a gold IRA or you want physical coins and bars delivered right to your home, Noble Gold makes the process simple, safe, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and a U.S.-based service from a team that's handled over $2.5 billion in precious metal transactions. With Noble Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it is their commitment. Visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below to claim your free wealth protection kit and see if you qualify for that silver bonus. That's nextnewsgold.com. Noble Gold, helping you build a stronger future. Or call that number, 877-646-5347. Tell my buddy Colin over there that Gary sent you. Okay, so the perp walk that never happened. Yes, I'm not pleased. I know you're not pleased. We want perp walks. How could we let this happen? One of the architects of the Russia hoax allowed to sneak in through a back door.
Director, front doors of the federal courthouse here in Alexandria. That appears not to have been the case. There are other entrances, a garage entrance, a back entrance as well, which might make sense given how many spectators are out here for really what is an unprecedented event today. So in about, 7 minutes, that's when the arraignment is scheduled for. That is when the former director, James Comey, FBI director, will be speaking to Judge Michael Nachmanhoff. He's a Biden appointee known for his thoroughness, but he's going to inform Comey of the charges against him. He's going to be asked how he pleads. We fully expect Comey to plead innocent on both charges, which a grand jury indicted him on late last month, those being a false statement within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the U.S. government, obstruction of a congressional proceeding. Front doors of the federal courthouse.
Slithering in like a snake, FBI Director Comey pleading not guilty to federal charges of lying to Congress. The former FBI director pleading not guilty to federal charges of making false statements, obstructing a congressional proceeding during his arraignment on October 8th, 2025. The legal team, led by attorney Patrick Fitzgerald, has signaled it will argue for the case's dismissal on the grounds of vindictive and selective prosecution. The charges stem from his 2020 testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Comey's attorney entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. A trial date has been set for January 5th, 2026. Oh, why couldn't they make it January 6th? Right? That's their favorite date. Anyway, mark your calendars, folks, because January 5th, 2026 is going to be a day that goes down in history. But you see, he thinks he's going to get away with this. But there's still, remember the grand conspiracy? That's still happening in the background. These are different charges, folks. There could be more coming down. And President Trump has said it. Kash Patel has said it. More charges are coming. Former Representative Madison Cawthorn says the two-tier justice system is alive and well. Let's listen to what he had to say to Benny Johnson.
It's pretty wild. Just like kind of telling a lie.
He was prosecuted by the FBI.
Everyone's best friend. Sick city, man.
It's disgusting. I mean, you look at the difference between a guy like Roger Stone, another truth teller. When he was prosecuted by the FBI, he was perp walked out of his building. All of his devices were taken from him. They were cloned and mirrored. He had all kinds of ridiculous stuff going on. James Comey still has all of his hard drives and his cell phones in his possession. He had a very, just subtle, hey, why don't you go ahead and come on in to this, to your pretrial? Let's see how it's going. You can claim if you're guilty or not guilty. It just shows that even into this day, and it's because the deep state is still so well rooted, that there is a two-tier justice system. And thank God for the President Trump's administration trying to right that and correct that. But it is just two-tiered. It's disgusting. It's rules for thee and not for me.
Congratulations.
Madison Cawthorn weighing in. Here's Mike Davis.
James Comey, this first indictment is just the beginning of...
That's exactly what I said. There's more to come, folks.
...justice you will face. This first indictment is related to James Comey's lying to Congress, to the Senate Judiciary Committee, to then Chairman Chuck Grassley, in 2017 when my former boss asked James Comey about his leaks to the media about this matter. He lied about it. He lied about it again in 2020. He reaffirmed his lying to Congress in 2020. This was both a lie under 18 U.S.C. 1001, false statements under 18 U.S.C. 1001, and it's also obstruction of a congressional investigation, because when you lie to investigators, you obstruct their investigation. We're not going to see Comey charged from the 2017 lie because that's beyond the 5-year statute of limitations, but the 2020 lie got charged by Trump U.S. Attorney Lindsey Halligan within the 5-year period. Remember what happened with this grand jury. This grand jury is a bunch of Democrats, including government workers in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., and Alexandria, Virginia, in this woke, white, wealthy enclave outside of Washington, D.C. It seems from the news reports that the grand jury actually considered this seriously, because the grand jury apparently did not return true bills on perjury, but the grand jury did return true bills on the indictment for false statements and obstructions. So the grand jury took these false statements and this obstruction seriously. These alleged false statements and obstruction by James Comey. They took it so seriously that they charged him with these federal crimes, and now James Comey is going to show up for his arraignment today in the federal court in the Eastern District of Virginia. He's already pled not guilty. And I would say...
And the party is not over yet. Let's keep going. More to dig in. Juanita Broadwick is pissed. She says, this is BS. No perp walk, no mugshot. Coward went through the garage.
Andrea Hoff, former FBI director, set to be arraigned today on 2 counts related to his Senate testimony from 5 years ago in the Trump-Russia investigation. Alexandria Hoff is live outside the courtroom, Northern Virginia. How goes it, Alex? Good morning there.
Hey, Bill, we were expecting the possibility of maybe seeing the former director walk directly through these front doors of the federal courthouse here in Alexandria. That appears not to have been the case. There are other entrances, a garage.
And, of course, we know he went through the back door. Steve Bannon weighing in. Dr. Peter Navarro, who didn't lie to Congress, was dragged out of a plane, chained up, put in leg irons for a misdemeanor. Comey, bald-faced, lied to Congress and obstructed justice on 2 felonies. It's time for Comey to face the music. Bannon not too pleased either.
The senior White House. Peter Navarro, for a misdemeanor, which 99.99% of the time is handled civilly in these disputes between Congress. Okay, Peter Navarro didn't lie to Congress. Peter Navarro, because President Trump exerted executive privilege, and he was a senior White House aide, and the committee was not structured properly, had no ranking member and no counsel, Peter Navarro and Stephen K. Bannon and Dan Scavino and Mark Meadows opted as our constitutional duty not to submit documentation and not to go testify as a matter of constitutional principle. These were misdemeanors. They were normally, like I said, 99.99% of the time in American history handled through civil litigation. Scavino and Mark Meadows were not charged, but they charged Peter Navarro and myself. And Peter Navarro, they treated like an animal to try to humiliate him and break him at Reagan Airport, very close to this courthouse, so not that far away from this federal courthouse. They basically chained him up in front of everybody, dragged him off a plane, chained up his fiancée, took him down a tarmac and tried to and put him in leg irons, and then took him over to the federal courthouse, put him in the basement where the cells down there, one of the cells was for Hinckley, on a misdemeanor. Comey is about 2 felonies, right? He bald-faced lied to Congress. He obstructed justice. And these are just the appetizers. Peter Navarro.
Just the appetizers. Everybody knows there's another shoe about to drop. Here's the news breaking of him pleading not guilty.
Here is the breaking news. The former FBI director, James Comey, in front of a judge moments ago in a hearing that we did not think would last long, and apparently that is the case. He has entered a plea of not guilty to 2 charges, federal level now. Our producers inside the courtroom say the former director accused of lying to Congress, obstructing a congressional proceeding, entered the plea moments ago in front of the judge, Michael Nachmanoff, appointed by Joe Biden, not guilty on both federal charges. He's accused of lying in front of Congress back in 2020. Here is the breaking.
Eric Schmidt, the time has come for criminal prosecutions. Comey, Clapper, Brennan, and anyone else involved, they better lawyer up.
Exit ramp at Mall. The time has come for criminal prosecutions. I think some of the statute of limitations has expired on some of these things, but not on a conspiracy. And the fact is, if you're part of a conspiracy in mile marker 1, but you try to take an exit ramp at mile marker 5, you're still liable for the damage and the criminal activity at mile marker 10. We're at mile marker 10. And so whether it's Comey, Clapper, Brennan, whoever else we know or don't know right now is a part of this, I think indictments should be coming here. We can't tolerate this. And the Democrats try to act like President Trump's weaponizing. It's not what's happening.
This is about accountability.
It is. And I would say this.
Someone has to be accountable.
100%. And also we need to be clear of the distinction. They weaponized it. The fact that we would go after people who weaponized it is not the same thing. Because if we don't do that, it's going to happen again. The time has come for.
You got to nip it in the bud. Okay, Eric Trump flipping the script on Chris Cuomo, leaving him shocked. Cuomo accusing President Trump of going after his political opponents the moment he took office. Uh-oh. Yeah, that was a bad idea, Chris.
Comey? Do you think that it is fair to say it looks like the administration is going after its political opponents now and doing exactly what you say you oppose? What, Comey? Because, I mean, it seemed very clear to me in the congressional testimony. I don't know, just watching it, I certainly seemed like he lied to me. I mean, I'm also wondering what an FBI director is doing, taking memos from the FBI and leaking them to the New York Times. I mean, Chris, I'm a guy that hopes that the FBI director would be keeping planes from flying into buildings, keeping our country safe, keeping the Western way of life safe. Instead, this guy is, communicating every single day with the New York Times. I mean, I'd hope a lot better, but I find it so ironic that you're literally one that's pushing back on the weaponization of government when the very same people that were coming after us, went after your brother, like hounds. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy his governorship. They did everything they could to destroy his life. They did everything they could to destroy you. I sat in that same seat. The only difference is my last name wasn't Cuomo. My last name was Trump. They were trying to destroy my father. And by doing that, they were trying to destroy me, and they were trying to destroy the Trump organization. They were trying to take all our assets and strip our name off of every building in New York City. You've been on the receiving end of the very same people that I've been on the receiving end of. And so to play coy with me as if this isn't happening in the United States of America just seems ironic and foolish given what you've been through more so than anybody. Hold on a second. What did you just say that you think I'm doing? I'm asking you questions about whether or not if something is wrong, is also wrong.
Uh-oh, Fredo. Fredo's getting pissed. My name's Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor for CNN. I'll never forget that clip. Oh, yeah. Fredo's blood pressure is getting up. Don't call me Fredo. Sorry, I couldn't help.
More so than anybody. Hold on a second. What did you just say that you think I'm doing? I'm asking you questions about whether or not if something is wrong, is also wrong to do the same thing when you get back in power, which certainly happened the first time the administration came in. You went right after Biden. And I don't mean you weren't part of the administration. I'll get to you in a second in terms of what's going on right now. But if you think I'm playing coy, you don't know me as well as you should. Chris, I'm not playing coy. I know what happened to me, Chris, Eric. I'm saying that and it was what is horrible happening now looks like what was done to you. That's why I'm asking the question. Did we raid Biden's home? Did we try and bankrupt Biden? Did they come after us? Did we weaponize every AG and DA, against Biden? Did we do that against Hunter Biden, who had a laptop from hell, pictures of cocaine, illicit drug use, prostitution? Did we do that? Did we make up a dirty dossier about Biden? Did they try and destroy Biden's marriage? Was any of that true? I mean, did we make up stories that Biden had secret servers in the basement of his home communicating with the Kremlin in Russia? Did we strip Biden off the ballot of multiple states? Did we take Biden off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and try and silence his voice so he couldn't communicate? Did we
put Biden in a courtroom every single day, 91 felony counts that have all been overturned for my father now, right? For nonsense to try and keep him off of a campaign trail and to try and destroy his life. Do we do any of that?
Oh my goodness. When Eric Trump says that, when he lays it all out like that and in such a succinct soundbite, it brings it all back. It brings it all back. Every single moment, every single attack, every single news report. And I sit here day after day, and I sort of become numb to this stuff because I'm here, I'm reporting, I'm giving you my opinion, I'm presenting the news. But listening to his voice, listening to the pain that his family's gone through, and laying it out like that, it just hits home. And then to hear Chris Cuomo, Fredo, trying to push back. I mean, Fredo was in on the whole thing too at CNN. All of them were. I give Eric Trump a lot of props for going on that show and laying into Cuomo like that. I mean, he was at least Eric was trying to, throw him a bone. Like, hey man, your family, you got attacked by the same people, right? Trying to, present some empathy so that they can have some common ground to stand on. But Cuomo just gets angry, pushes back, and Eric just went off, man. Pardon my French. Jeez. What else have we got here? Okay, so, man. There's no defending the Comey FBI and the Biden DOJ. Spitfire writes, this is brilliantly laid out by Borelli on CNN. When Democrats complain about the Trump administration weaponizing the DOJ, they need to grab a mirror. Sounds like we're going to hear something very similar to what we just heard Eric Trump, who was on the receiving end directly of that weaponization. Let's hear how it gets presented on CNN from a different angle and different mouth.
On the floor, then all of a sudden that when it's Republicans, they're not victims, they're suspects, according to Jack Smith. I think there's been a broader politicization of the FBI. We had an FBI agent plead guilty to falsifying records so that he can get a wiretap on the Trump campaign back in 2016. That happened. You have this BS raid on Mar-a-Lago where the FBI brought cover sheets of top secret and sprayed them around the floor and took pictures. Where did they end up? Right?
The FBI brought those sheets?
They did bring the sheets. The FBI brought the top secret cover sheets and replaced other documents with those, put them on the floor, then took photographs, and then leaked the photographs. That's what actually happened. This agency has a leaking problem. That's why James Comey's under indictment right now.
The photographs were attached to court documents.
And let out the public. The purpose was that you saw them, you in the media.
Joe, those were court documents, okay? They weren't leaked, A. And B, what did you want them to do? Take pictures of top secret documents and post the top secret documents?
I would expect that we wouldn't do a raid on a former president's house to get documents that weren't even there.
You can argue whether or not that case should have gone forward, but the underlying issue here, which is whether or not Donald Trump improperly took those documents. I'm not even sure Donald Trump is disputing.
And was treated differently than Joe Biden with improper documents.
Okay, Joe Biden was also investigated, and for different reasons, charges were not brought. But he was investigated by his own.
What were those reasons? Oh, he's just a well-meaning old man. Yeah, he's just an old guy. Leave him alone, right? That was their reason, literally.
Competent.
No Roger Stone raid, no Peter Navarro raid.
Joe Biden hated that. But to your point, I mean, he was humiliated in the middle of a presidential campaign by his own DOJ.
Right.
Which
honestly he may not have.
So look, I mean, you can call that politicization, but that would be politicization against Biden by his own Justice Department.
I think
all of a sudden,
folks, this story is not over. We're going to continue to track it. Remember, mark your calendar. January 5th, 2026. That is D-Day for James Comey. We'll have to wait and see what other charges are ahead for the deep state crooks who try to take down Donald Trump, his entire family, and destroy this country from within. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is right now. Right meow. The man who orchestrated the Russia hoax, leaked classified memos, and lied about FISA abuses finally facing justice. But instead of justice, we got theater. Comey's cushy arraignment, side door entry, no cuffs, keeping his devices screams everything that's wrong with our system. So compare his treatment to Roger Stone's pre-dawn raid, Peter Navarro's airport arrest in leg irons, 2 felonies versus their process crimes. Yet Comey gets the VIP treatment. And Bannon nailing it. Navarro got shackled for a misdemeanor while Comey walks free on felonies that corrupted our entire intelligence apparatus. This is not just about an FBI director, a corrupt one. It's about whether Lady Justice peeks under her blindfold to check party affiliation. So here's the question. Will Comey actually serve time? Or will the deep state win again? Drop a yes or a no in the comments. And remember, our merch shop has gear for patriots who demand equal justice. You'll find it linked in the description. Oh, my goodness. Where are we? We're at, what's our next topic? Oh, yes. Speaking of FBI corruption. Good Lord. Okay, R. Boyd, that was the last super chat from R. Boyd. Show G some love. Smack that like and send a super chat. That was 23 minutes ago. Nobody heeding R. Boyd's call to action today. After everything we have just witnessed, come on, guys, step it up. Gary needs beer money this weekend. Actually, no. Monday and Tuesday next week, I will not be here as I'm having a medical procedure done that requires 24 hours of pre whatever. And then, yeah, not looking forward to it. But it's something us men have to do when we get to that age. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. We need beer money to Gary. Thank you, Tyson. I broke the Russians and they love me, says Franger. Are you getting fixed? No, I'm not getting fixed. Oh, Bills. Bills is on point. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. You're getting the GoPro 01 kilo. Yeah, I'm transitioning, Scontac. That's what I'm doing. I'm transitioning. Oh, sure you. 24 hours. Oh, man. Yeah, Monday's going to be a ride on the porcelain throne, man. Oh, boy. Bradley. Tyson. Oh, no, John. No, John, not that. Karen, the test almost killed me. Oh, no. Sorry to hear that. Okay, record the farts, you guys. Snap goes the gloves. You guys are losing me, okay? I got work to do here. I got to get on point. I'm just trying to share this with you. It's personal stuff. Yeah. So Tom will be manning the studio for those 2 days. I'll probably be in the next room taking a dump. Oh my God, why am I telling you guys this? I just told 1,400 people, actually no, 3,782 people. Oh, man. Get it together, Frenchie. You're a White House correspondent. All right, we got to talk about some corruption, more corruption. It never stops, does it? It never stops. The surveillance state just got caught red-handed. Operation Arctic Frost, the FBI's secret spying program that targeted 8 Republican senators. We're talking Lindsey Graham, Josh Hawley, Ron Johnson, and others who dared challenge the regime. The bombshell? Not just the spying, but the cover-up. Kash Patel exposed how they buried the documents, making them nearly impossible to find. Kyle Serafin's calling out FBI brass by name, demanding answers about who supervised and who got paid to hide the truth. Senator Johnson calling it an outrageous violation of separation of powers. It's been labeled a constitutional disaster. The same FBI that spied on Trump spied on sitting senators. And then they tried to bury it. We've got the evidence. It is mounting. So keep on watching. While the FBI was hiding Arctic frost documents from oversight, they can't hide the truth about aging. A meta-analysis of 23 controlled trials proved collagen supplements deliver real results, improve skin hydration, elasticity, and reduce wrinkles. Unlike classified files buried in FBI vaults, ageless multi-collagen is transparent. 5 types of premium collagen working to restore your skin, joints, and connective tissues. Since taking it daily, I've seen smoother skin, fewer fine lines, and renewed vitality. No cover-ups here. Get ageless multi-collagen for 51% off at healthwithgary.com. Includes free VIP coaching, an ebook, free shipping. Visit healthwithgary.com now. It's linked down in the description. So, it is a big scandal indeed, Mark Levin. Everyone is weighing in on this scandal. Where do we begin? How about we just check in with the FBI director himself?
Calling on elected United States senators and representatives. And they knew who they were calling, where they were calling from, where the person was receiving the call, who was receiving the call. You have fired the agents that were involved in that operation. What can you tell us about it?
Sean, I want to peel this onion carefully. Look, they put this information, those that weaponized the FBI and prior leadership at DOJ and FBI, they took this information where they subpoenaed 8 sitting United States senators, put it in a lockbox, put that lockbox in a vault, and then put that vault in a cyber place where no one can see or search these files. They're called restricted access and prohibited access. Restricted access means some people get to see it. Prohibited access, you put it in there when you want to hide it from the world, and that takes the authorization of the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI. So not only did they weaponize this law enforcement, but when we got in there, and when I got in as the FBI Director, from my experience as Russiagate, I knew where to look and what rooms to open and what doors to kick down. And that's what we did. We found this information to expose the politicization by Jack Smith and the prior Department of Justice. I mean, just think about it. 8 sitting United States senators. Phone records were gathered and subpoenaed through the grand jury process, and it was buried and wormholed with the hope that no one would find it. So we're just scratching the surface here, but accountability is coming. You're darn right I fired those agents. You're darn right I blew up CR-15, the public corruption squad that led the weaponization at the Washington field office. We're just warming up, but we are running our investigations to the ground. We are finding every single person involved. We will not leave a single room locked. We will go in through all the prohibited access requirements, and we will find the material and show the American public, like we have done in this FBI, more transformative and transparent than any in the U.S. history, to bring accountability to the American people. And we will work with our partners in Congress, who should be furious at the prior administration's leadership and weaponization and singular politicization of law enforcement. The American public sees what we're doing, Sean, with the stats you just read off in the beginning. They see what we're doing here to unseal the vault and show the world how the deep state actually operated. It's not a Republican fiction. This is what Donald Trump was put in place to do, and I'm honored to be his FBI director to lead this charge. And the men and women at the FBI, we're all in on this mission.
You know what? As he's sitting here talking, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we got Arctic frost. This is going to lead to more deep state actors getting drained. He fired some of the FBI agents who were behind it. I think they need to go further. But find out who ordered it. What was the impetus of it all? And then we have Comey, who just was not perp walked today, but at least he's facing justice, pleading not guilty to lying to Congress. And we also have the grand conspiracy case that is working in the background. You have the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, revealing the beginning in the uncovering all the information from the beginning of Russiagate, going back to Hillary Clinton. Kash Patel working on that too. I mean, there's so many cases happening in the background right now. It's like we're getting drip fed all this information. And then another one hits. It's like, okay, write that one down, guys. Track this one. Okay, track Arctic frost investigation. Track the grand conspiracy investigation. Track the Comey indictment. Let's just keep track of these things and let's get justice. And remember, guys, justice does move slowly. There are processes that these guys are actually following, despite the previous administration, what they did. They just steamrolled everything. Okay, so this is just the beginning. Arctic frost. Here is, this was 10 hours ago. Kyle Seraphin says, hey, Ron Johnson, you seem to be worried about the FBI agents involved in Arctic frost. Have you talked to the FBI WFO ASAC, who is over CR-15, and Tim Thibault left in August? He writes, pretty sure David Geist, who was the ASAC in D.C. September 2023, is still enjoying a check. Let's see what Ron Johnson has to say.
Crimes just... what should happen to Jack Smith? What should happen to the people that were involved with this? I know that Kash Patel has fired members of the FBI, according to reporting today, but what else do you believe should happen? Well, it starts with exposure. But as we're seeing with James Comey, a lot of the statute of limitations has expired on this. What they're being indicted for is, lying to Congress. That's serious. That's a felony. But again, the punishment of those crimes just simply don't fit the magnitude of the destruction to our political system, the interference, the partisanship. I mean, again, Russia and China could only dream of doing this much damage. How do you make them accountable for that? I mean, again, it starts with exposure as this first step in accountability. But again, I don't know what laws are broken by this. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. I hope that some conspiracy charges can be leveled, can be proven, and these people go away for a very long time. These are bad people. They've done bad things to this country.
And Senator, I would say this. I think the American people, the honest ones anyway, would like you, Chuck Grassley, Josh Hawley, and the rest to keep asking the questions, keep issuing the subpoenas, dig deeper, find it all, and expose it for what it is, because the only way we get rid of this nonsense, to get rid of this true weaponization, is to expose it, like you said.
Well, we will, Steve. Here's the problem, though. You still have members of Jack Smith's team in the FBI. These are long-term employees. They're burrowed in. They're not coming clean. They're going to do everything they can to hide their own wrongdoing, as well as the people that they worked with on this. So again, this is a huge challenge for Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Dan Bongino. But no, we're going to be dogged about this. I have every confidence they're going to do everything they can, but they don't know where the documents are buried. Again, it's hard to prove criminal activity and wrongdoing. People who commit crimes.
But to be crystal clear, Senator, to be crystal clear, you think they're criminals. You don't know what the crimes are, but you're pretty clear on the idea that these are criminals, correct?
Yeah, just based on the damage they've done to this country. Ugh. I mean, just look at that. The damage they have done with their lies, with their corruption. Again, it's incalculable.
Incalculable. Mark Levin calls it a big damn scandal.
Senators, who knew about this?
Yeah.
You don't monitor phone calls by United States senators without some kind of approval by the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General, some kind of knowledge by White House counsel. This is a much, much bigger scandal, and it is a big damn scandal, than what we're looking at right now. Again, my experience at the Department of Justice as Chief of Staff to an Attorney General, no prosecutor is going to start monitoring United States senators without the Attorney General knowing about it, without somebody in a higher position knowing about it, without the FBI director knowing about it. So this is another one of those scandals in the Biden regime that I think either goes to the top or close to the top.
That's exactly what I said. Who authorized it? Here's Kristi Noem at that committee hearing this week.
Frost, Operation Arctic Frost, was an unconstitutional, undemocratic abuse of power. During Arctic Frost, the FBI also placed 92 linked Republican individuals and Republican groups, such as Charlie Kirk's Turning Point, on their list. This is the kind of conduct that shattered the American...
I think I called her Kristi Noem. Pam Bondi. Forgive me.
American people's faith in our government, as I said in my opening statement. We are ending this weaponization. Our FBI is targeting violent criminals, child predators, and other lawbreakers, not sitting senators who happen to be from the wrong political party. Several of your colleagues sitting at this dais were targeted, and others. We will continue to stop that throughout the Justice Department. That is the ultimate weaponization of government.
have you sought grand jury secrecy waivers so that all of Arctic false documents can be produced to Congress? And if not, do you plan to do that?
Chairman Grassley, I will be working directly with Director Patel on this issue, and there's not much more we can say about the issue for obvious reasons at this time.
Okay.
Operation Arctic Frost was an unconstitutional...
Another scandal. We touched on this the other day. Now it's starting to explode. Here is Grassley 48 hours ago.
I think emphasizes the political weaponization that was behind all this effort. And we're still getting more information, but we've released some records today, and I'll let Senator Johnson take over from here, and then each one of you colleagues can join in when you want to, whatever you want to say.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Senator Grassley. It is because of his relentless advocacy for whistleblowers that a lot of this information is surfacing right now. We wouldn't know about the list of 100 Republican entities that were targeted by Jack Smith's Arctic Frost investigation. I don't think we know about this as well. So we need whistleblowers. I think Dan Bongino and other folks in the FBI, they don't know where all the records are hidden. They still don't. They're not necessarily getting 100% cooperation. But this is outrageous what has happened. I just want to give you a timeline of this. I think you've already got the FBI sheet that shows the number of members of Congress that were targeted. Representative Kelly, Senators Graham, Haggerty, Hawley, Sullivan, Tuberville, myself, Senator Lummis, and Blackburn. This memo was dated September of 2023. To put it all into context, the Mar-a-Lago raid occurred in August of 2022. Jack Smith announced the indictments against President Trump in August of 2023. So this is almost 2 months later. They're casting this net, this fishing expedition against members of the Senate and the House. Again, I've been investigating this with Senator Grassley. This doesn't surprise me, but it should shock every American of what the Biden administration has done. And by the way, this is the first time I was targeted by the FBI. Under the Obama administration, the same thing happened to both Senator Grassley and I. As part of the Foreign Influence Task Force, we were giving a briefing to try and convince us that the Hunter Biden laptop was no big deal. Basically, trying to throw us off the track. So this is major corruption that's being revealed inside the Obama and Biden Department of Justice, the FBI. And I'll turn it over to, I guess, Senator Haggerty, who's one of the individuals. Again, none of us were subject to targets of this investigation. There's no predicate. There's no reason for this other than a fishing expedition, which, again, should outrage and shock every American. Senator Haggerty.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. And Chairman Grassley, thank you for your leadership in making this.
This is only the beginning of this one, folks. Operation Arctic Frost. Circumventing the approval process and seize senators' phone records. An outrageous violation of the separation of powers. Newly uncovered memo reveals Biden's DOJ secretly spied on 8 GOP senators. The Bureau tracking private phone data.
Deranged Jack Smith after bombshell memo exposes Biden FBI spying on GOP senators. An FBI document obtained by Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley shows that the FBI under Joe Biden spied on 8 Republican senators as part of its Arctic Frost investigation.
Ingram Engel, more with Ron Johnson.
Our phone record. So 8 U.S. senators, 1 congressman, all Republicans. What do we not know about Arctic Frost that you hope to still discover?
Well, first of all, as it relates to the seizing of our phone records, who knew about it? Who approved it? Normally, there would be a very rigorous approval process going pretty high up in the chain, but they circumvented that by saying, well, these aren't subjects of our investigation, they're not targets. So they circumvented that. So this is an outrageous violation of the separation of powers. We need to know who knew what and when they knew it.
Well, there was one agent that gets named in a lot of these documents who was involved. Is like one person.
Timmy Tubo. Yeah, he was the agent in charge of basically thought of this investigation, then approved it, totally violating FBI procedures in terms of how you establish an investigation and get it approved up the chain. He did it himself. So he's one of the bad actors. But, Laura, there are plenty of people still in the Jack Smith prosecution team. They're still burrowed into the FBI. This only came to light because the agent who seized the records, who got them, basically used this to recertify in this cast team. I mean, basically, it's a brag sheet. This was an accomplishment to recertify to be able to do the exact same thing again. So, happenstance, we had a whistleblower. By the way, we need more whistleblowers. We need more whistleblowers. That's how we found out about the associations they were targeted, including Senator Schmitt's Association of Attorneys General targeted by this FBI. So, again, this is out of control. The Biden administration, the Obama administration have weaponized government 10 times what Democrats are falsely accusing the Trump administration of doing.
So
Wow. Total projection at the moment. Here's Senator Hawley.
Out because whistleblowers.
Senator, how did we even find out about this?
Well, I think we found out because whistleblowers came forward, Jesse, with this information, which the Biden FBI tried to bury. I mean, let's be clear about this. It wasn't like they said, oh, listen, we want to tell you something really bad that we did. No, they lied about it. They tried to hide it. And then, as it turns out, they got wiretaps essentially on 8 Republican senators. This is after they targeted 92 conservative organizations, including Charlie Kirk's TPUSA, just because they were conservatives, all the while they were raiding Mar-a-Lago and persecuting Donald Trump, trying to keep him off the ballot. Jesse, they turned entire agencies of the U.S. government into their political tools, the Bidens did. They need to pay a price for that.
So what did they get from your phone? What were they able to get?
They were able to get the lists of incoming calls, outgoing calls, my location, when the calls were received, the duration of the calls, as well as metadata associated with the phone. And Jesse, that's just what we know about for sure. The truth is, we don't know the extent of their information gathering. We don't know what they did with it. We really don't know why they wanted it, other than, as you said, it was a dragnet. They were trying to destroy the entire Republican Party, beginning, of course, with Donald Trump, who was their number one target, and sweeping up anybody associated with them and anybody who was standing up against Joe Biden. Because remember, Jesse, this didn't happen until 2023. That's when Jack Smith and his goons went on this witch hunt. 2023. This was all about politics.
Yeah. So what are we going to do about this?
Well, what needs to happen is we need a special prosecutor who's going to go at this hard. I mean, we need to get all of the corruption uncovered. What we have here is rot that goes all through the FBI, that goes all through the DOJ. As Cash said a second ago in the clip you played, they've had decades to assemble this deep state. We need to disassemble it. We need somebody who is going after every person who was involved in this, who's going to expose it. We need hearings in public, put these people under oath, start with Jack Smith. Let's hear from Merrick Garland. Let's hear from Christopher Wray. And anybody who broke the law needs to be prosecuted.
Completely.
Let's go. If you got value for this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Now, Arctic frost is not just another scandal. It's proof the surveillance state turned inward on itself. 8 Republican senators had their private phone records seized while the FBI buried the evidence in unreadable files. This is Watergate with algorithms. Chuck Grassley exposed it. Ron Johnson called it constitutional violation. Kash Patel revealed the cover-up mechanics. Think about it. The same apparatus that fabricated the Russia hoax was simultaneously spying on the legislative branch. No warrants discussed, no oversight mentioned, just raw surveillance of elected officials who dared question the narrative. I mean, it's unconstitutional abuse of power. I mean, where are the 5 a.m. raids for this? The calls for accountability aren't coming from conspiracy theorists. They're coming from United States senators who found that they were the targets. So here's the question. Should every FBI official involved in Arctic frost face criminal prosecution? Yes or no? Sound off below. And visit our merch shop because real patriots demand transparency. You'll find it linked in the description. All right, folks. What a show it has been. Love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, but terrifying pattern 5 stories. The system versus the people. We open with Trump demanding jail for Chicago's mayor and Illinois governor. Mark Vargas laid out the federal statutes: harboring criminals, obstructing justice, interfering with federal officers, real charges, real consequences, real time. While Pritzker plays tough guy and Brandon Johnson plays the race card, businesses flee and residents live in fear. Meanwhile, the Magnificent Mile flooded right now with thousands of protesters likely about to set Chicago on fire tonight. Federal law, though, is federal law, whether Chicago likes it or not. Then, Nancy Pelosi's CNN catastrophe, Democrats blocking the 6th attempt to fund the government while TSA agents work for free and veterans get squeezed. Why? Because illegal immigrant health care matters more than American paychecks. Pelosi could explain it because there's no defense for putting foreign nationals, illegal aliens, before citizens. And the White House Antifa summit changing everything. Andy Ngo, James Klug, Katie Daviscourt, the journalists who bled for truth finally getting their platform. Kash Patel promising vengeance on every donor. And we know where that leads. Straight to George Soros. Kristi Noem gave Portland an ultimatum. After years of Antifa is just an idea, the federal government declared war on domestic terror. It's about time. And then Comey's courthouse shuffle exposed our two-tier justice system in HD. No perp walk, no cuffs, kept his devices, while Trump allies got shackled for less. 2 felonies, 0 accountability. The swamp protects its own even when the charges are black and white. In Arctic frost, the FBI spying on 8 Republican senators, then burying the evidence. Your government surveilled your elected representatives because they asked the wrong questions. If that doesn't chill your spine, you're not paying attention. So look at all the connective tissue here. Chicago defies federal law. Democrats shut down government to protect illegals. Antifa burns cities while media denies they exist. Deep state actors get special treatment. FBI spies on senators who challenge them. This is not random chaos. It's coordinated resistance to constitutional order. The establishment spent 4 years building these networks. And now they're activating every asset to stop Trump's restoration of law. But here's what they don't get. We see through it. I see through it. You see through it. America sees through it. When ICE shows up in Chicago, residents cheer. Those folks who are marching down the street in Chicago, those aren't residents of Chicago. Those are bussed-in, paid protesters. It's all AstroTurf. It's political theater. The real residents of Chicago are cheering. And, of course, Pelosi fumbling on CNN. Right? When Trump puts Antifa victims in the White House, the truth breaks through. When Comey slinks through side doors, everybody notices. When Arctic frost leaks, senators demand justice. Despite all this, my friends, the pendulum is swinging back hard. The question isn't whether accountability is coming, it's how much pain the establishment will inflict before admitting defeat. So to everyone who sent in super chats and Rumble rants, you guys keep independent media alive. Keep telling your friends about the Raw Feed. Hit our merch shop, wear our gear. Remember, we're not just reporting news, we're making history together. We'll see you next time on the Raw Feed. Stay vigilant, America. God bless you.